Sports Center all night.
A fireworks show down in the ATL.
Swung on, drilled to center field, drifting back is Harris, looking up over his shoulder, and it is out of here. A home run to left center field by Brandon Marsh.
Men's college baseball teams punch their ticket to the tournament.
Right field.
The women's softball teams keep their eye on the prize.
Leads out to hit this one. Hallie Morris comes through with a 2-run, 2-out.
And we preview Game 7 of the Celtics and Heat.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now, but we'll wait 48 hours and do the same in Boston.
This is Sports Center all night. Here's Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Monday, Memorial Day, the unofficial start of summer. Monday will be the official end to someone's season in the NBA. More on that straight ahead. Sunday on the Diamond, we certainly had some offense. The matchup between the teams with the most wins in the American League and the most wins in the National League, Rays and Dodgers.
Chris Taylor swings and he hammers one deep to left field. Way back and gone. First pitch, Taylor sees, he knocks out of the yard and ties the game at 1. He demolished it. His 8th home run of the season. Now Max Muncy up. He swings and he hammers one high and deep to right field. This ball is gone. Back-to-back home runs. And the Dodgers have the lead. Max Muncy with home run number 17. The Dodgers have put up 2 runs on 2 pitches in the second inning.
Taylor and Muncy back-to-back in the second, and then in the 6th.
And J.D. hits this one well to left field. Back it goes. It is gone. It's a 1-run ball game. J.D. Martinez. It is 10-9. 389 feet on the home run for J.D. For Taylor, 2 for 2. He was intentionally walked in the 4th inning. And Chris has scored 2 of the 9 Dodger runs. He swings and belts one to the gap in right center and deep. This ball headed back. It's gone. A home run for Taylor. Can you believe this? It is 10-10 at Tampa Bay. Back-to-back home runs for the second time in the ball game. And with 2 outs, Martinez and Taylor go back-to-back and tie the game.
J.D. Martinez, Chris Taylor, back-to-back. And we're tied at 10. AM 570 LA Sports. The game would ultimately be decided in the 7th.
Yandy at first held aboard. The pitch. Swinging a chopper over the mound towards second. Fielded by Vargas. His only play is at first. And the throw in time. Scoring from third, Raley. On to second, Yandy Diaz. The Rays have the lead back. It's 11-10 in the 7th inning.
Yes, the RBI ground out, 620 WDAE. Rays with the 11-10 win for the Dodgers. Their second loss in 109 games under manager Dave Roberts when they scored double digits. Rays had 7 players with multiple hits. They scored 7 runs over the first 2 innings, and they win it 11-10. Rays and Dodgers weren't the only game to be decided by an 11-10 final. In Denver, Rockies hosting the Mets.
Here's a pitch. And hits it deep to right field. Way back there. Cannon looking up. And gone! It hit the top of the fence and goes into the crowd. Charlie Blackmon, a 2-run blast to right field. The Rockies have 3 runs in. 9-6 they lead. It's to McMahon. And that one's sent deep to center field. Chasing Marte back. He's looking up. It's gone! He has done it again. A home run in all 3 games of the series. Ryan McMahon, a 2-run shot here the opposite way. Rockies lead this 11-6.
5 in the bottom of the 5th after a 4-run bottom of the 4th. 850 KOA. Rockies with the 11-10 win. Mets falling to 15-18 on the road this season. Sunday night, the Braves also putting up double digits.
Oh, by the way, there's a hitter at plate that could hit the ball over to State Farm on right center, so you got to be careful.
Acuna Jr. running, swung on by Matt Olson, a deep shot to right center field, and is way back. 10 rows into the seats. A 2-run shot for Matt Olson. Olson, and the Braves take a 2-0 lead here in the first.
Apparently, I need to go to Vegas because he just hit the ball over the State Farm sign in right center. Oh, my goodness.
The pitch to him, lined out into center field. This one has a chance to get out, and it is gone into the fountain in center field. Matt Olson, his second 2-run home run of the game. The Braves are just piling it on here tonight against the Phillies.
John Griffin, Doug Glanville. Nostradamus, Doug Glanville on ESPN Radio. Braves an 11-4 win over the Phillies. Matt Olson, 3 for 5 with the 2 homers. He had 3 of the 20 hits the Braves had.
Yeah, they always say that hitting is contagious, and when we got Ronald Acuña Jr. up at the top, getting things going, it's a pretty good start. It seemed like everybody's putting together some good at-bats, get us going, and obviously got out to that big start.
This is the 4th time you've had multi-home runs in a game with the Braves, and both of them, Matt, went over 440 feet. I mean, these were big boy balls you were hitting out there today, and one of them landed in a body of water, Matt, that we did not know existed there in Atlanta. Where did that ball land? Do you know?
Yeah, I think I saw a couple droplets pop up. There's a little water up there in center, but just saw some pitches over the heart of the plate, was able to stay through them. And good dub.
Look, you're from the area. You come back to play for your hometown team, and obviously the success they've had over the last several years, the energy there in that ballpark on the regular is electric. What is it like playing in front of your home fans when a lot of people are expecting big things from you?
It's so cool. I used to be one of these people in the stands, coming and watching Chipper and Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine, those guys. It's pretty cool to have the full circle experience coming out and playing in front of them. Probably the best fans around, most loyal, and they're going to pack the ballpark out pretty much every day. So it's fun to come here to Truist every day and play in front of these crowds.
Yeah, so you played high school baseball at Parkview High School right there outside of Atlanta. Now, who's the best athlete to ever come out of Parkview? Is it you, Jeff Francoeur, or one of the Stinchcomb brothers?
I knew Francoeur was going to come up there. The Stinchcombs, they had some long careers. Jeff and I got an ongoing debate. He beat me in homers. I beat him in RBIs. So we'll let a third party decide.
Matt Olson and the Braves, an 11-4 win over the Phillies. Braves, one of 7 teams to score in double digits in Sunday's action. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing, man. If you don't know who D. White is, you know who he is now.
Inbound to Smart. Turns it, shoots a 3 left wing. Around and out.
There really was nobody on me. When he shot it, just tried to crash.
As a tip was good at the end, we're waiting to get an official ruling. And they count it. Oh, they count the tip, and Boston wins it.
And everything was like a blur after that. Basketball for you. Basketball is fine. It's very, very, very entertaining.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now.
Celtics earning a trip back home for a Game 7 on Monday after the exciting finish to Game 6. Game 7 Monday, you'll hear here on ESPN Radio. Our coverage starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. There have been 150 instances of a team being down 0-3. The Celtics, the only ones to rally back and be the host for Game 7. Earlier on ESPN Radio, our Gabe Neitzel and Peter Burns.
Brad. I don't know how you bounce back on this. And we've talked about pressure. It's got to be on the Celtics, though, now, right? To actually do this. I mean, I feel like the line should be like 40 for this game coming up in Game 7 because everybody feels like the Heat it's just done. That was it.
Well, so at the beginning of the series, you had ESPN Stats and Info, Basketball Power Index, whatever it was, say that the Heat had a 3% chance of winning the series. The Celtics were 97% chance of winning the series. And I honestly, I thought this thing was over after Game 3 because the way the Celtics quit was shocking. It was just stunning the way they quit. I'm like, okay, all right, the series is over. For them to fight back.
Truthfully, I thought the people that put up the numbers that the Heat only had a 3% chance before the series started. I thought their careers were over. I thought that was over because I'm like, there's no way. Like I'm looking at this because sometimes you see these football power index things and these numbers, and you're like, I know how the numbers are there. I know it's like AI, there's analytics, all of this. I'm like, somebody punched in a wrong number.
But you've come, to your point, you've come all this way if you're the Celtics. You're at home. And that's the one advantage that the Celtics now have over every other team. And there's only 3 of them that have ever forced a Game 7 after being down 3-0 in an NBA playoff series.
Celtics digging themselves out of an 0-3 hole after a horrendous start to the series. You almost got the sense that Coach Joe Mazzulla wasn't going to make it through the series with his job intact. But now that may have changed. Nicole Yang from the Boston Globe.
Brad Stevens really emphasizes the importance of sort of doing right by people. And I don't think he would want to pull the trigger that quickly, especially given how the series has unfolded. Now, after Game 3, and if they got swept, I could totally see ownership intervening and saying, like, hey, we need a veteran coach that's ready. Like, this is a win now roster. But I think given where they're at now and sort of what they've been through, even if they don't advance, I think they would feel comfortable sticking with Joe for another year.
We will find out tonight how it all shakes out. Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics, Heat in Boston, presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 8 o'clock Eastern on most ESPN radio stations and on Sirius XM Channel 80. Sports Center all night. Memorial Day weekend. In addition to honoring those who gave their lives for our country, the weekend is also synonymous with racing. Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte moved to Monday due to the wet weather. They'll race at 3 o'clock Eastern. Points leader William Byron will start on the pole since qualifying had to be rained out Saturday night. It marks the first time since 2009 the race has been moved to Memorial Day due to weather. Earlier Sunday, they were running the greatest spectacle in racing, Indy 500 at the Brickyard.
Newgarden has a 2-car length lead.
Advance Auto Park, twin checkered flag in the air. It's a battle at the start-finish line, and Joseph Newgarden will win the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Davey Hamilton, he finally gets the monkey off his back.
He got the monkey off his back. Unbelievable. Great job. I mean, that end was amazing.
IMS Radio Network, Joseph Newgarden wins the 500. 11 career 500 starts before his first win, tied with Tony Kanaan for the most starts before a driver's first win in history. Newgarden with our Ryan McGee.
Hey, by the way, they're going to put your face on this in the not-too-distant future. Congratulations, Joseph Newgarden.
I'm nearly beyond words. I don't know what you say after something this intense. The Indy 500 is the most difficult race in the world to win, and to finally be able to do it, this is my 12th attempt. It is not easy. Nothing's given here. And I'm just so thankful for my team for letting me be here and sticking with me. And you just can't beat this crowd. I said, if I'm winning this race, I am going in the crowd. And just to feel that energy was something I will never forget.
Well, you said it's a difficult race to win anyway. It's super difficult to win it the way that you did it. Walk us through that last lap.
Well, it was just a lot of chaos at the end, which made it nerve-wracking for us, but I think exciting for anybody that was watching. I mean, this came to a last lap shootout. It's literally go to the line. It's white flag. This is all or nothing. I'm telling you, I was either wrecking this car or I was winning the race. I've been here enough times where I finished third, fourth. I was not doing that again. I wanted to win or I was going to end up in the wall. And not to take somebody out, but I was going to put my car on the line to win this race. And I think you had to do that at the end. It was a matter of being in position and just taking advantage of that final shootout. And look, we had the car to beat. The Shell car was unbelievable this whole month.
Did you break your ring?
The ring broke. I don't know that I broke it, but it broke. So we need a new Indy 500 ring. I'm very sorry to Jostens. That's my bad. I just got a little bit excited.
All right. He drank the milk. He broke his ring. He got the wreath. And his face will be on the Borg Warner Trophy 1 year from now.
Joseph Newgarden started 17th, lowest starting grid position to win since Ryan Hunter-Reay in 2014 won from the 19th spot. Straight ahead, we're moving on. Sports Center all night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, will Brock Purdy be the starting quarterback if healthy? Is Desmond Ridder the answer in Atlanta? I'll answer all those questions and more on Keyshawn, J. Will, and we'll never forget Max. Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
This is Sports Center all night on ESPN Radio.
The Dave app wants to change the way you bank, starting with putting more money in your pocket. Get up to $500 instantly with an extra cash advance. You can even earn more money with a side hustle. Dave also helps you level up your cash with ways to budget, set goals, and save. It's the banking app for smarter money moves. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC.
MLB fans, when you need tickets to catch your favorite team live all season long, Ticketmaster's got them. As the world's largest ticket marketplace, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of seats available and at competitive prices, so you never have to worry about missing a game. Take yourself out to the ballpark this season and get tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/MLB. That's Ticketmaster.com/MLB.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Showtime. Do you feel like your streaming subscriptions are out of control? Why not start the new year off right and cancel the ones you're not using? Enter the Rocket Money app. Rocket Money organizes your subscriptions by due date and notifies you when something is coming up. From there, decide whether to keep it or cancel it with just a tap. To find out more about Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/gameday or download the Rocket Money app from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Rocket Money, the finance app that works for you.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Susan has always wanted to live in a chateau. I like a certain je ne sais quoi. While Jake is more into the Cape Cod style home.
It's a classic look.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they can save even more. In the end, Susan and Jake found a Cape Cod style home where they will only speak French.
Bonjour, je t'aime, merci beaucoup, and cordon bleu.
You'll get better with time. Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
Did you know YouTube TV is more than cable for less than cable? That's right. YouTube TV has no long-term contracts or hidden fees, and it even lets you catch up to the live game with key plays. With the lineup of over 100 channels, you can watch live TV like cable. Signing up is simple. Get started in minutes, and you can watch all the action of the NBA Finals live on ABC. So what are you waiting for? Try it free today at youtube.com/NBA23. New users only. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
You've never had anything like Kentucky Fried Chicken's new chicken nuggets. They're so good, you'll hear a random choir singing every time you open the box. Don't believe me? Just listen. Box open.
KFC, chicken nuggets, KFC.
Box close. Open.
Original recipe and rabbit, KFC.
Close. Can we get a remix? Order KFC's new chicken nuggets on the KFC app today. That's finger looking good. Prices and participation may vary.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Memorial Day on ESPN Radio. Carlos Correa and the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins head to Houston to face Yordan Alvarez and the Astros.
Hit a ton! Yordan Alvarez with a 3-run homer.
The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Coverage begins today at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. In the wings, the Florida Panthers, but they still need an opponent for the Stanley Cup Final. Monday in Dallas, Game 6 for the Western Conference Final. Stars, Golden Knights, Vegas, of course, won the first 3 games of the series, but the Stars twice have staved off elimination. Monday, Game 6, 8 o'clock Eastern. It's on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Women's college lacrosse Sunday.
They left, no doubt, today. After an 11-year drought, Northwestern back on top. The Wildcats are national champions.
They beat Boston College 18-6, their 8th national title, but their first since 2012. As for the softball tournament, we have all 8 teams that are heading to Oklahoma City. The final 2 determined on Sunday.
Leads out to hit this one. Hallie Morris comes through with a 2-run, 2-out single.
Utah taking the decisive Game 3 in their Super Regional over San Diego State. 7-2 the final. They win the series in 3 and advance to the College World Series for the 4th time in program history, the first since 1994. Meanwhile, in Tuscaloosa, Alabama and Northwestern in a decisive Game 3.
Down the line, toward the pole, and that ball is out of here! Jenna Johnson rattles the foul pole, and it's 3-1 Alabama.
Jenna Johnson's solo shot in the 5th, her first homer of the tournament. Alabama edges Northwestern 3-2. The Crimson Tide advance into the College World Series for the 14th time. Montana Fouts 3 2/3. In relief, her 100th career win, she and Coach Patrick Murphy after the Tide advanced by 1 run.
I can't breathe. I'm either about to pass out, throw up. I'm not sure. I don't know about her, but I can't breathe. It was one of the most exhilarating 2 weeks of softball at the Rhodes House in my 27 years here. I think this was probably the most gratifying postseason in my time here. It's, I told her she was going to be a rock star when she came here. She's a rock star, she's a legend, and she's an icon. Unbelievable performance.
Just talk about your defense and just knowing when you're on the mound that they're going to take care of business behind you.
Gosh, I mean, every inning they're like, hey, we've got your back. Just trust us, especially given everything in the past couple weeks. They're just like, hey, you put it on the ground, we got it. And that's exactly what she did. And I know Kenley's ball was a little bit slower, not as dramatic, but that was a huge play too. So both of those two just eating it up in the infield, Emma and Prangy on the corners, fielding bunts. I mean, making me look great behind the plate. I don't have any words, especially our outfield. I mean, shoot, you see Jenna's catching the gap. I have no words. They just work their butts off.
If you're not hitting, you don't take that to the field defensively.
Absolutely.
And opposite, if you're not playing well defensively, you don't take it up to bat with you. You separate the two. And they've all done that actually all year. They played really good defense in spite of what they're doing offensively, good, bad, or ugly. And, just a great defensive weekend for us.
Alabama moves on. They face Tennessee in their first matchup in the Women's College World Series from Oklahoma City. You'll see it this week on ESPN. Sports Center all night. College baseball championship Sunday for conference tournaments in the Big 12.
This is hit high and deep to right field. On the warning track, Earhart looking up, he'll watch it go. Goodbye home run. Braden Taylor, his 21st of the year. And TCU will get 2 back. That's 12-5.
TCU with the 12-5 lead in the 8th, and that would be the final. They beat Oklahoma State. TCU, 4th Big 12 tournament title, second most of any team. Texas has 5. In the ACC.
Count and missed. Clemson, crowned champions of the ACC championship.
They beat Miami 11-5. Clemson's 11th ACC tournament title, most of any school, their first title since 2016. Tulane wins the American with an 8-6 win over East Carolina. Then there's the SEC.
Chance for 2. That side takes it. Vandy wins it again. An SEC championship for the Commodores for the 4th time in school history.
It's all on ESPN. Vanderbilt a 10-4 win, their 4th SEC tournament title. SEC analyst Todd Walker.
Vanderbilt winning this thing, that was pretty special. Again, they stumbled a little bit down the road. They've now won 6 of their last 7. I still feel like that 8-run 8th against Arkansas in Game 2 in Week 10 last weekend was the biggest difference in their motivation and their momentum coming into this weekend.
And now the seeds are set, and 8 of the 16 regional hosts selected for the NCAA tournament are from the SEC. The D1 Baseball Committee making that announcement Sunday night. The hosts locking up spots in the national tournament. The rest of the 64-team field will be unveiled on Monday. Back to Major League Baseball. Big third inning for the Yankees at home against the Padres.
Looped into left center field. That is going to be a base hit. Scoring easily is Bader. Calhoun's going for 2. The throw from Grisham. Not nearly in time. It goes to shortstop. An RBI double. And the Yankees lead 6-3.
Michael K. on the Yes Network. Yankees go on to a 10-7 win over the Padres, who are under 500 here at Memorial Day, 24-29. Astros a 10-1 win over the A's. A's are still under 500. They have 10 wins on the season. Memorial Day baseball action, Astros and Twins coverage at 3:30 Eastern time on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Who would Denver prefer to come out of Game 7? You may be surprised. It's next. Sports Center all night at ESPN Radio.
Greeny.
LeBron is definitely not retiring. Definitely not. Never listen to what a player says about his future in the frustrated moments after a defeat that ends his season.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is it. Enough dreaming about growing my business online. It's time to get serious about selling in my style, as big as I want to grow, because there's nothing I can't do. It's time to get Shopify.
You go and get it.
Oh, oops.
I thought I was just talking to myself there.
But heck yeah, I do. It's time to take my business to the next level. Start selling with Shopify to join the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand. From templates that make site design simple to customizations that let you grow at your pace. This is possibility powered by Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/play. That's shopify.com/play. Go to shopify.com/play to take your business to the next level today.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Greeny.
LeBron is definitely not retiring. Definitely not. Never listen to what a player says about his future in the frustrated moments after a defeat that ends his season.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, the Celtics take Game 6 to force a Game 7, but will they be able to complete history? Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here, ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPNU.
Long before there was reality TV shows, there was American Gladiators.
We sold out everywhere we went. No one cares if you're sore. No one cares if you're sick.
These games were not safe for humans to play. It was a given that they were all on steroids.
They always wanted impact.
Was it worth the punishment that their bodies were taking?
30 for 30 presents the American Gladiators documentary, Part 1, tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Streaming same night on ESPN+.
It's finals time, where what happens next lives on forever, where history awaits. And seconds last for eternity. This time is for all time.
The NBA Finals, presented by YouTube TV, begins June 1st on ABC.
He's phony, she's fake. That's the type of people I hate.
Most shows say buy or sell, but we're not most shows. This is Real or Not Real.
Wait a minute. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All right, Andre, lock it in. Who wins Game 6, Trey?
I'm going to say the Celtics because I really want to see a Game 7. But this is the Heat's best chance. So they should come out with better effort than the other night. But I just think that it feels like manifest destiny at this point, that this series should go the distance.
Lock it in, Dre. Who's winning?
Lock it in, Celtics. I'm going Celtics.
Dre's locking it in, Celtics. All right, time to play real or not real teams that need to blow it up. Nuno.
All right, real or not real, Andre, the Lakers need to blow it up.
Oh, not real. Not real. They were right there, and LeBron was still playing on a very hurt foot that was probably more hurt than was publicly let on. So I think that if they just brought the gang back, they could still be in the mix. But I do think some changes will happen, but not blowing it up.
Yeah, not blowing it up, Eddie. It's not real. I think when Snell's just said it, they were right there. We just need to play better. I think if this group, maybe D'Angelo Russell is moved on from, and we bring in somebody else. But as far as the core 4 guys, we keep them.
No, of course you don't blow this up. You have LeBron and AD. You squeeze what you can out of it. And they just, they were in every single game. They got swept, but were in every game against a juggernaut that has a very good chance to win the whole thing this year.
The Warriors, real or not real, that they need to blow this up, Andre?
Not real because at this point they're pot committed. The Steph, Dre, and Clay core, that's who they are. If they blow it up, then they're talking about a long rebuild. And I don't think that any of those guys are in for a long rebuild.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
Sports Center All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundled today at progressive.com.
Half-hour headlines on Sports Center All Night.
Rays outlast the Dodgers in a slugfest. Rockies, Braves, Astros, Yankees also putting up double digits in the run column on Sunday. Joseph Newgarden wins the Indy 500. And Monday, we are set for Game 7 in Boston.
Right wing Butler with 5, with 4 to the right corner, and he went for the shot. He was fouled by Horford. Are they going to say it was on the floor? Butler is behind the three-point line. Inbound to Smart. Turns and shoots the 3 left wing. Around and out as the tip was good at the end. And they count it. And Boston wins it.
Smart flash hit him, and really was nobody on me. So I just faced to the corner, and then when he shot it, tried to crash. Ball came to me, made the shot.
Celtics dropped the first 3 games of the Eastern Conference Finals, but of course now they are hosting Game 7. It's Monday. It's here on ESPN Radio, our coverage at 7 o'clock Eastern. First time a team has rallied out of an 0-3 hole to host the decisive game of the series. So what do the Celtics need to do to complete that comeback? ESPN analyst Monica McNutt.
One, their stars have to continue to show up. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum put up the type of numbers that you expected to see from them. And quietly, Marcus Smart contributed with 21 points as well. This is a team that has to continue to rely on their defense. Contrary to the trend, they didn't shoot the ball very well from behind the three-point line in Game 6, but it was their defense and obviously the clutch play of Derek White that allowed them to buck the trend and keep the series alive. They have to continue to put pressure on the Heat offensively. In Games 4 and 5, they forced the Heat into a combined 31 turnovers. And so it's important that they allow their defense to lead to offense. If they can hit threes, that certainly bodes well for them. But if they get out in transition off of turnovers, that's even better.
On the other side, for Miami, what do they need to do to avoid making history of the dubious variety?
Well, it seems of the two teams, candidly, Zubin, and outside of the heroics we witnessed in Game 6, the Heat are comfortable in late, tight games. And so, one, I would say that they need to stay attached. And they can do that by continuing to move the basketball. Bam Adebayo has the ability to play well and play big in the paint. They need to look to him. Gabe Vincent does a great job of getting into the gaps and finding his teammates. And Caleb Martin has played tremendously. And, of course, in the first half of Game 6, Jimmy Butler wasn't even signature Jimmy Butler until late in that game. And so for the Heat, they have to continue to trust what has worked for them well. They find one another. They trust the rotations of the basketball in terms of drawing multiple defenders and then finding open shooters. And so if they stick to that and they control their turnovers, they had just 5 in Game 6, they'll give themselves the opportunity because of the two teams. The numbers bear out that they are the better team in terms of clutch ball games if it's tight in the fourth quarter.
Here we go. PTI style, as Tony and Mike might say. Who you got and why?
I'll be honest. I thought that the Heat needed to do this in Game 6 in order to get it done. I thought for sure the Celtics might take it away at home in Game 7. But having watched the way that game unfolded and listening to both teams post-game, I know this is not my job, Zubin, but I legitimately do not know what's going to happen when we get to Game 7 between these two teams. I think there's something to be said for the history between them and Jimmy Butler being one of the better players in the postseason, at least prior to this series, not allowing the same results to be as last year. Now, on the flip side, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart, for that matter, come to play, they are at home. But I legit don't know what's going to happen.
Miami on the road for Game 7 after winning the first 3. Of course, after the Game 6 loss at home, Coach Eric Spoelstra was ready.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now. Right now, we want to tip this thing off. Let's play another 48 minutes, but we'll wait 48 hours and do this thing in Boston.
And that thing will be here on ESPN Radio. Game 7, our coverage starts at 8 o'clock Eastern. Meanwhile, in the wings are the Denver Nuggets. Who came out of the Western Conference. Who were the Nuggets between the Heat or the Celtics? Who would they rather face in the NBA Finals? Earlier on ESPN Radio, Zach Bye from 104.3 The Fan in Denver.
I can tell you this unequivocally. The team is the Miami Heat. That would be more advantageous for Denver for a multitude of reasons. First and foremost, this is a matchup that Denver has simply dominated. Miami Heat are an East team. The Nuggets are a West. So they play each other twice a year, once on the road, once at home. Well, this past year, the Nuggets were 2-0. Last year, the Nuggets were 2-0. The year before that, the Nuggets were 2-0. Jokic has dominated the Miami Heat. They do not have an answer for him. Bam Adebayo, for as good as a defender he is in the front court, he is undersized, and Jokic is just a massive human being, and he's also a supercomputer. So he has just absolutely downloaded everything Miami could throw at him, and he has dismantled them. They just simply are not as talented as the Boston Celtics.
And we mentioned the Denver Nuggets waiting in the wings. They've been doing that since dispatching the Lakers. How about all this rest?
So I look at, hey, how did this basketball team come out after the All-Star break? Oftentimes teams can be a little disjointed. Obviously, Jokic was a big participant in that. Everyone else went on vacation. They come back. At the time, Cleveland was one of the best teams in the league. They go on the road. They beat Cleveland. They beat Memphis in a big primetime game on ESPN that the number one seed was still sort of hanging in the balance there. And the first 6 games coming out of the All-Star break, they go 5-1. So that's one example.
Seems like they've been resting since the All-Star break, since they won the Western Conference Finals. Also from the NBA, ESPN and reports say that the association is investigating referee Eric Lewis over an alleged burner account. The NBA opening the investigation into the longtime referee involving a Twitter account that has responded to numerous posts on officiating and defended Lewis and other NBA referees. NBA sources confirmed to ESPN the account in question, which has since been deleted, was listed different username, wasn't Lewis's name, at potential is an issue of an NBA rule against referees commenting on officiating publicly without authorization. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Back to baseball.
The pitch to him, lined out into center field. This one has a chance to get out, and it is gone into the fountain in center field. Matt Olson, his second 2-run home run of the game. The Braves are just piling it on here tonight against the Phillies.
Braves go on to win at 11-4 on Sunday night. Ronald Acuna Jr., 4 for 5 with 3 RBI. He now has 30 RBI on the season, his first 4-hit game this year. Matt Olson, 3 for 5, as you heard, 2 homers, now has 16 on the year. He's got 41 RBI total after 4 more in the Sunday night win. The Braves, as a team, had 20 hits. Matt Olson had 3 of them. You heard the game here on ESPN Radio. John Schriffen with Doug Glanville. John?
All right, Jay, thank you so much. All right, Doug, let's wrap up this one here in Atlanta. The Braves jumped all over Philly starter Dylan Covey in that first inning. They scored 7 runs in that first inning. The Braves never looked back, winning it 11-4.
They had a plan, and it was very clear they were going to be aggressive from the beginning, early and often in the count. They were attacking, and they just were on. Everything was barreled up, and any mistake in the zone, they made Covey and the Phillies pay for it. But, when you have one of the most exciting players in the game, and Ronald Acuna Jr. doing what he does, he's living on base, he's trying to steal bases, he's hustling, he's going first to third, he's taking the extra base. That kind of pressure, then supported by Olsen with the 2 home runs and the rest of the lineup that all did their part offensively this year, it just gave the Phillies no shot of coming back. And combine that with Spencer Strider, one of the best pitchers in the game, power pitcher who got better with each inning and closed it out in fine fashion. This is what the Braves can bring when they're playing their best baseball.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because Ronald Acuna Jr. gets most of the attention for the Braves, and well-deserved, right? He's one of the best players in Major League Baseball. But the lineup behind him is equally as scary when you think Matt Olson had two home runs tonight. You had Austin Riley had a home run tonight. Sean Murphy, who went 3 for 5 tonight. I mean, there's so much support in that lineup. It does not get any easier when you face the Braves.
Well, it doesn't. And just go to the bottom of the order. You have to deal with Ozzy Albies. You have to get Orlando Arcia. They're just a team that comes at you a lot of ways, and they have speed. When they steal bases, they're second in baseball in stolen base percentage. So there's not a real weak link through that lineup. So you're going to have to outpitch them. You're going to have to outdefend them if you want to beat them consistently. And that's where the Phillies have some struggles. They're not catching the ball. They're not getting the starting rotation. So they're going to have to build on that and get their offense more consistent if they want to catch up to the Braves.
So the Braves will go on the road. They go all the way out west tomorrow for a 3-game series against the worst team in baseball, the Oakland Athletics. If you're the Phillies, tomorrow for Memorial Day, you have the day off, and now you have a 3-game series starting on Tuesday against the Mets.
That's a big series. Now there's not as many divisional games with this balanced schedule, so you have to take advantage of gaining ground as much as possible in those divisional games. And the Mets have been a little rocky. They kind of lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs. They're just uncertain and inconsistent. So this is a chance for the Phillies to gain some ground.
All right, that'll do it from Truist Park here in Atlanta, Georgia. Our final score here in this 4th game in this 4-game series, Braves win it 11-4 over the Phillies, and they will split this 4-game series 2 games apiece. For Doug Glanville, I'm John Schriffen, right here on your home for the Saturday night game of the week, Sunday night baseball, and every game of the postseason, Major League Baseball on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Now let's send it to Jay Reynolds in the studio.
All right, John, Braves get the Sunday night win. 11 homers this season that have traveled at least 450 feet. That's the most in Major League Baseball. Phillies allowing 10 runs in a game for the 8th time this season. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Mariners and Pirates went 10, but not beyond that.
The pitch to Gino. Swung on. A rocket to left field. Absolutely mashed. See you later. Walk it off Gino. 3-run blast, and the Mariners have won it. They've taken the game. They've taken the series.
Seattle Sports, 7:10 a.m., 6-3 the final on the 3-run walk-off home run in the 10th inning. Mariners now 6-1 in their last 7. They've won back-to-back games. They've averaged over 5.5 runs per game over that span. Tigers and White Sox also went 10 and also ended in the final at-bat.
The 1-0, swinging a fly ball, center field. This will do it. Robert will go back. He will make the catch. Torkelson tags. Tigers win.
Tigers win it in 10 with the walk-off sac fly. Tigers' 4th walk-off win this season. Royals walk-off against the Nationals. Michael Massey walk-off single, his first career walk-off hit. For Kansas City, their 3rd win when trailing by 2 or more in the 7th inning or later this season. Blue Jays shutting out the Twins 3-0, their 8th shutout win this season, tied for the most in Major League Baseball with the Rays. Losing streak coming to an end. That's next. Sports Center all night continues. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up Monday, all we've talked about is Nikola Jokic. But how much credit should we be giving Michael Malone? Keyshawn, J. Willimax, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
ESPN Radio Sports Center all night. More next.
The Dave app wants to change the way you bank, starting with putting more money in your pocket. Get up to $500 instantly with an extra cash advance. You can even earn more money with a side hustle. Dave also helps you level up your cash with ways to budget, set goals, and save. It's the banking app for smarter money moves. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC.
MLB fans, when you need tickets to catch your favorite team live all season long, Ticketmaster's got them. As the world's largest ticket marketplace, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of seats available and at competitive prices, so you never have to worry about missing a game. Take yourself out to the ballpark this season and get tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/MLB. That's Ticketmaster.com/MLB.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Showtime. Do you feel like your streaming subscriptions are out of control? Why not start the new year off right and cancel the ones you're not using? Enter the Rocket Money app. Rocket Money organizes your subscriptions by due date and notifies you when something is coming up. From there, decide whether to keep it or cancel it with just a tap. To find out more about Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/gameday or download the Rocket Money app from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Rocket Money, the finance app that works for you.
Sports Center all night continues with Jay Reynolds.
We're taking you to KJ and Max, 6 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN Radio. It was a 20-game losing streak dating back to last season, but then came Sunday.
Ryan Howard with 3 left, raises up, misses everything, finds the hands of Aaliyah Boston, and the streak is over for the Indiana Fever.
They get the win over the Dream, 90-87. As heard on Bally Sports, Fever snapping that 20-game losing streak going back to last season had been tied for the longest losing streak in WNBA history. Aaliyah Boston, 13 points, 7 rebounds through her first 3 career games, has 33 points on 67% shooting. Golf, Emiliano Grillo wins the Charles Schwab Challenge at 8 under, second Argentinian to ever win the event. First Argentinian golfer to win on the PGA Tour since Fabian Gomez at the 2016 Sony Open in Hawaii. As for Sunday's top sounds, let's check in with Chris Smith.
Number 4.
All right, Jay, men's college baseball teams punched their ticket to the tournament. Over the ACC, Clemson used the long ball in the 7th inning to overcome a 5-3 deficit. The call on ESPN.
2-2. Pulls it. Right field. Toward the wall. His first in a Clemson uniform. And a silencer.
Number 3.
Now in the SEC championship game, Vanderbilt nabs their 4th SEC tournament title, matching Tennessee for the 5th most by any school. The call on ESPN.
Chance for 2. That side takes it. Vandy wins it again. An SEC championship for the Commodores for the 4th time in school history.
Number 2.
In the pro ranks, the long ball reigns supreme for the Astros. The call on KBME, 790 AM.
0-1. And Alvarez hits one in the air pretty deep to right center field. Leday is back, looking up. See you later! Back-to-back jacks. First Pena, now Alvarez. Yordan's second home run of the game, and the second time the Astros have gone back-to-back today. And the Astros lead is 10-1.
Number 1.
And finally, Matt Olson provided the fireworks in the ATL on Memorial Day weekend. The call on ESPN Radio.
The pitch to him, lined out into center field. This one has a chance to get out, and it is gone into the fountain in center field. Matt Olson, his second 2-run home run of the game. The Braves are just piling it on here tonight against the Phillies.
Braves taking Sunday Night Baseball from Philadelphia, courtesy of Matt Olson's bat. Although everybody was chiming in, 20 hits for the Braves en route to the win. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Tonight in Boston, Game 7, Celtics, Heat. There's never been an NBA team to lose the first 3 games of a series and advance. Major League Baseball used to be in that same scenario until the 2004 ALCS changed that when the Red Sox dug themselves out of an 0-3 hole to move on to the World Series. On that 2004 Red Sox team, also from Boston, Johnny Damon.
Playoff time is the most important time, but for the Boston fans, I'm going to throw my hair down for them and get just ready to rock and roll. So, what a game last night. I mean, the ending, nobody knew what was going to happen. Nobody knew if the shot got off on time, and it was absolutely amazing. I mean, after Jimmy Butler hit those 3 free throws, it was an amazing finish, and I'm glad I got to see one of the most amazing games ever.
Yeah, the Heat were up 3-0. They proverbially let their hair down a little bit, and you see what kind of situation they're in now. Let's go piece by piece here, right? Back to your 0-4 team so we can kind of channel what's going on with this year's Celtics. You're down 3-0. The Boston media is just crushing you guys. How do you block out the noise?
You really don't. You just try not to watch TV too much. And what the Celtics are doing right now is exciting for the entire sport of basketball. What great story would it be for 2 Boston teams to come back after a 3-0 deficit? Boston still has nothing to lose. I mean, winning 4 straight games in any championship is very important and very hard to do.
All right, so let's go through the series again, much like the C's. You're down 3-0, then it's 3-3. Boston is going to experience this question on Monday night. But for you, take me through the emotions of what it was like leading up to first pitch of a Game 7 of that magnitude.
There's nothing quite like it. And, I mean, that's something that our 0-4 Red Sox team is always going to be known for. The team that can silence the noise, go out there, get the job done. And I mean, we put it all on the line, and we did not want to go back and take our kids to school. You know, it's like we're here in the playoffs for a reason, and that's to win the World Series. And everybody stepped up. Obviously, Big Papi. I mean, we have Pedro, we have Manning, we have Mark Bellhorn, that big home run in Game 6. I mean, everybody had to do their part. You know, Millar getting the walk, Dave Roberts getting the steal, Bill Miller getting the hit, and we just kept rolling, and it was awesome.
You're conspicuously leaving somebody out. There was a guy named Johnny Damon who actually had 2 home runs in that Game 7, including a grand slam. What were you thinking as that game was progressing when you having that sort of performance?
Well, I was struggling most of the series, and then, you know, I showed up in Game 7, had some great swings, and we wouldn't have got there without the whole team pitching in and getting us to the to Game 7. So, I mean, it was a tremendous year that's going to be remembered forever. But tomorrow night, we need the Celtics to step up in Game 7. If not, they're going to keep talking about our team for a long, long time. Hopefully, there's another team tomorrow night that can say they came back from a 3-0 deficit, and the Celtics have been playing very well and made the best team win.
Boston Red Sox, Johnny Damon, first to do it in baseball. Boston Celtics have a chance to be the first to do it in the NBA. Of course, the Celtics did drop the first 3 of the series, and Coach Joe Mazzulla was in the crosshairs with all the vitriol being spewed with the Celtics in an 0-3 hole. But things have changed. ESPN analyst Tim Legler.
The amount of criticism he was facing, particularly in Boston, right, with sports talk radio, the print media, the fan base, everybody on him. He stood up there as a young coach and owned the moment. And I think it saved their season because it galvanized their locker room. and the players decided they want to continue to fight for this guy, and they've gone out and they have done that, and they have played incredibly hard these last 3 games to put themselves in a position now to do something that no team in NBA history has accomplished if they can win Game 7.
Celtics Heat in Boston tonight on ESPN Radio. Our coverage starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, and it's a full day of action here on ESPN Radio. We also have Astros and Twins this afternoon, 3:30 Eastern time. Tonight on ESPN and on ESPN Plus, Game 6 on the ice, Vegas, Dallas. Golden Knights trying for a third time to close out the series after the Stars staved off elimination in back-to-back games. It's Monday, May 29th, Memorial Day. Certainly a lot of barbecues today. Hope you enjoy it. Hope we also get the chance to pause and remember those who gave everything. Fitz and Harry up next, in for Key, Jay, and Max. I'm Jay Reynolds. Back tomorrow with Sports Center all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Coming up next, Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN.
Bundling and saving with Geico is an easy choice, so you're free to ponder life's big questions, like what's the best animal in the world if not humans? I'd strongly consider ducks to be somewhere up there on the list. Think about it. Ducks can swim, ducks can fly, and ducks can walk on land. They have access to all terrains. They are the ultimate animal. And they wiggle their butts when they walk, which is funny. Yeah, ducks are awesome. End of story. Bundling and saving with Geico. It's an easy choice.
This is it. Enough dreaming about growing my business online. It's time to get serious about selling in my style, as big as I want to grow, because there's nothing I can't do. It's time to get Shopify.
You go and get it.
Oh, oops. I thought I was just talking to myself there. But heck yeah, I do. It's time to take my business to the next level. Start selling with Shopify to join the commerce platform revolutionizing millions of businesses worldwide. Packed with industry-leading tools ready to ignite your growth, Shopify gives you complete control over your business and your brand. From templates that make site design simple to customizations that let you grow at your pace. This is possibility powered by Shopify. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/play. That's shopify.com/play. Go to shopify.com/play to take your business to the next level today.
You've never had anything like Kentucky Fried Chicken's new chicken nuggets. They're so good, you'll hear a random choir singing every time you open the box. Don't believe me? Just listen. Box open. KFC, chicken nuggets, KFC. Box close. Open. Original recipe and rabbit, KFC. Close. Can we get a remix? Order KFC's new chicken nuggets on the KFC app today. That's finger looking good. Prices and participation may vary.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new place. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Did you know YouTube TV is more than cable for less than cable? That's right. YouTube TV has no long-term contracts or hidden fees, and it even lets you catch up to the live game with key plays. With the lineup of over 100 channels, you can watch live TV like cable. Signing up is simple. Get started in minutes and you can watch all the action of the NBA Finals live on ABC. So what are you waiting for? Try it free today at youtube.com/NBA23. New users only. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
The SV Pod with Scott Van Pelt.
This is his one shining moment. And to Block's credit, he recognized that, enjoyed that moment, every moment. And Rory only made it better, like the hole-in-one. And when it was over, Rory gives him a handshake. He's like, that was awesome. And I know he meant it. Yeah. Those moments, like Rory's had his time and he's going to have it again. This is as good as it's ever going to get for Block.
Check out the SV Pod with Scott Van Pelt wherever you get your podcasts.
The season was on the line. We don't want to go home. Everybody just like make a play.
Inbound to Smart. Turns it, shoots the 3 left wing. Around and out. They count the tip. He got it off in time. I don't know how. Boston's going to win it, and we're going to a Game 7.
We just gave ourselves another chance. It's not time to celebrate. You know, the job is far from finished, but I've never been so excited to go back to Boston in my life because it's going to be fun.
I'm not going to let anybody quit. I'm not going to let our guys quit. We're going to go in there. We're going to win.
It's a 7-game series. There's nothing better than Game 7s for all the stakes.
You know you make me want to shout, kick my heels up and shout, throw my hands up and shout, throw my hands.
It was one of the most incredible endings we've seen throughout the course of the entire NBA playoffs. And in the span of just a few days, the narrative has changed wildly. As tonight, we get Game 7 in Boston. Boston has done the unthinkable. They have come back from a 3-0 deficit and now have a chance to be the first team in NBA history to win a best-of-7 series when trailing 3-0. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPN News. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. And Harry, I was yelling at my TV Saturday night. I'm sitting there. I got 2 TVs on. I got one, humble brag, one over here on the Golden Knights. That did not go the way that I wanted it to. We'll talk about that later. And then the other one sitting here on a little NBA action, just hanging out, watching. And everybody's watching the last play of the game. And I'm thinking there's no way that went in time. There is no way this has happened. But in an instant, we went from all of a sudden thinking Miami had found a way to get to the NBA Finals to realizing that the tip-in is good and Boston is headed back to Boston to fight for Game 7. It was wild, man.
Well, just an unbelievable game, Fitz. I think it's going to go down in history as one of the best playoff games, especially when it comes to finishing. And the raw of emotions from Miami Heat fans, from in the arena, watching it on TV, those that was listening to it on radio, feeling like they had an opportunity to, make an NBA Finals appearance for the second time, I think in the last 4 years, all to be negated because the shot by Derek White or the rebound and putback by Derek White was good. But then you think about the Boston Celtics fans and their raw of emotions. A lot of them probably thought their season was over. Probably some players thought their season was over. But no, but it also shows you that, guys paying attention to detail. And when I say that, it is that Derek White, it's not a play that tells him to go chase down that rebound and put it back in, right? He didn't sit at the 3-point line and watch Marcus Smart shoot that basketball. You want to know why? Because there are thousands of people in that arena who paid money to sit and watch that play happen. Being coachable, doing the little things that matter in a basketball game, the hustle plays, the little intangibles that make you a great basketball team, but also gives you life to be able to force a Game 7 because you did the little things right that coaches shouldn't have to tell you. Follow up, go to the offensive board and try to get a rebound. And Derek White did that in that game.
I'm just stunned as I'm watching it while you're talking. They're playing it on the TV broadcast again and again. And I just keep thinking, you know me, man, I live by this whole motto of sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. But to be lucky, you got to be good. Like it all sort of happens together. But there were so many intangible, like the fact that Marcus Smart heaves up the ball with just enough time and then it hits the rim, but it bounces out. So it rims in and out, but it doesn't take an extra bounce. Like the slightest extra bounce, and this thing isn't happening. But instead, it comes off of his hands. And you mentioned Derek White playing hard. This is what he said after the game about that play.
I was passing it in. Vincent was on me, and he kind of was up top denying JT, so I couldn't get hit the ball. And I did a good job of denying JB2, and Smart Flash hit him, and there really was nobody on me. So I just faced to the corner, and then when he shot it, just tried to crash. Ball came to me, made a shot. So That's what I saw.
I mean, Harry, let me just go back and rewrite this for you. If I were to tell you on Friday when we were leaving Fitz and Harry, I'd be like, you know what? Got to watch out for Derek White at the end of the game. Like, hey, they're going to have an inbounds pass. It's not going to go to Tatum. It's not going to go to Brown. It's going to go to a weird 3 by Marcus Smart, and they're going to be relying on Derek White. Like, if you drew it up that way, if you're the Heat, you probably feel pretty good. But to your point, there were a bunch of Heat players that just couldn't seem to get that play made, whereas the Celtics were all crashing at one point. It felt like chaos for the Celtics. They knew everything was on the line, and they got it off with that fraction of a second.
Well, it's one of the things that's been hurting the Miami Heat in this series is offensive rebounds, and that may have been the only offensive rebound, I think, in the second half for the Boston Celtics. I got to go back and look at that, but that is something that has been transpiring, especially these last 3 games, that have cost the Miami Heat these last 3 games. It's offensive rebounding by the Boston Celtics, but you got to give them a lot of credit, for not letting their guards down and continue to have that energy and that spunk to go crash the boards and create second chance points. And now they're in the position to make history, to try to make history and be the first NBA team ever to come back from being down 3-0 in a series and actually winning it and going to an NBA Finals.
Yeah, I think the emotion is going to be wild, too. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. It's Fitz and Harry take over Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. And, you mentioned emotion. Think about what it's like for the Heat and for the Celtics. If you're the Heat, you're watching that go in, and your immediate thought is, we won. We're headed to the NBA Finals. Because in that moment, you didn't know.
Yeah. Did you see Gabe Vincent?
Yep.
Gabe Vincent was raising his hand like, no good. We won. We won it. No, boss. Let's go to the monitors. No.
And it's not even just the emotion of like, hey, we lost that game. It's the emotion of we were going to the NBA Finals. And now we got to go back to Boston. Conversely, if you're Boston, there had to be some level of your heart sinking in your chest. Jimmy Butler hits 3 free throws. It looks like this thing is over. You're not sure you got that miracle off. Looks like your season's dead. And then all of a sudden you go to the replay and everybody's got it. Like the ability to let this game just not be in your mind and reset for game 7 for both sides, I think it's going to be wildly difficult.
No, it's going to be hard, but when you have a trip to the NBA Finals on the line, in which Fitz, we are a year removed from a Game 7 last year. Game 7 in this series between these two teams happened on May 29th, 2022. So exactly to the date, today is a Game 7 for these two teams with a berth to the NBA Finals on the line. So I think at some point you have to compartmentalize and say, you know what? That was an emotional win for us if you're the Boston Celtics, but we need to lock back in because the job isn't done. If you're the Miami Heat, that was an emotional loss for you as a basketball team. But when you have a coach like Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler, it's your job not to allow your players on your basketball team, let that be, I'll say, the makeup of Game 7. There's no time to feel sorry for yourself. You got to regroup. And I love what Spoelstra said after the game. And hey, listen, if we can play 48 minutes right now, we want to do that. We want this opportunity.
Actually, I have that here. Here is Spo after the game, and listen to the intensity with which he talks here.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now. Right now, we want to tip this thing off, and let's play another 48 minutes, but we'll wait 48 hours and do this thing in Boston.
Harry, that's got, I mean, come on, the former player, and you hear him, he's tapping the table. He's into it. You
right
know
now.
He's giving it to you twice.
But you're right, though, man. Like the raw of emotions between the players. Because we talk about the fans all the time and their emotions, right? But these players going through these moments, and you've seen the look, the disbelief on some of the Boston Celtics players' faces, like, we actually won the game. The shot is actually made. It counted. Now we get a chance for a Game 7. We have another lifeline. It's like a black cat. They got 9 lives. They get another life.
Yeah.
That's that raw emotion of that. But you can't sit there and ride that emotion when you get to Game 7. You need to be locked in. You don't want to come out too high. You don't want to come out too low. You want to be even keel, and you want to, do the things possible to make the NBA Finals. And if you're the Miami Heat, you can't let that moment have your basketball team go in disarray to the point of where you're not able to function in a Game 7.
Nick Friedel said after Game 6, our buddy who's covering the team said, shocked. This is his quote, shocked. The disbelief in that Miami locker room was palpable. One of the quietest locker rooms I've ever been in. Everybody seemed a little shell-shocked. About 10 or 15 minutes later, Gabe Vincent played Ed Sheeran's Life Goes On his phone. I that's real, Harry. I mean, they thought they were headed to the NBA Finals. I will say this loudly for the next 4 hours. I have no idea what the hell to expect tonight. I would not be surprised if Miami comes out with the Thunder of the Gods. I also wouldn't be surprised if they can't handle the emotion of everything and they just melt away. Like, I have no idea. I am so clueless on what to look for in this Game 7 because I could see so many different ways that Miami comes out. I think it's going to be wild.
But look, here's the funny part. You just said those Heat players thought what? What did they think?
They thought they were headed to the NBA Finals.
Well, maybe they would have. If their two best players would have showed up the entire game.
Aha, coming up. The Heat role players showed up. One of the biggest stars in the NBA didn't. How should we actually be viewing Jimmy Butler right now? We'll tell you that next. But first, Harry has to tell you this about FanDuel.
Ooh, make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs. It's really good, folks, because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Visit FanDuel.com/play. and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 or visit KESGamblingHelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. GamblingHelplineMA.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
More Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Next.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
Memorial Day on ESPN Radio. Carlos Correa. Wow. And the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins head to Houston to face Yordan Alvarez and the Astros.
Hit a ton. Yordan Alvarez with a 3-run homer.
The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Coverage begins today at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. The biggest names in sports are on ESPN Radio.
Tyrese Maxey now joining us courtside. It was a big-time win, man. We let the game kind of slip away from us, but to be resilient like that and everybody make plays down the stretch, that was big time.
Stephen Curry with us here on ESPN Radio. Honestly, it's hard for a lot of guys on our team because they're capable of contributing, but sometimes the opportunity isn't always there, but the message is stay ready.
Josh Hart is joining us.
6 years I've been waiting to get into the playoffs, man, so I'm not taking it for granted. I'm playing as long as I can, every second I can, and I'm just taking it all in. Visiting with D'Angelo Russell, I'm a product of my environment. Honestly, I got to brush shoulders with some of the greats and just learned a lot of things from being in their system and their organizations.
Klay Thompson joining us.
I can hear how tired you are, brother.
Oh, PJ, I feel great. You got another quarter in.
Great. I don't know about all that.
The biggest names in sports come here, and it all starts weekday mornings with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, and continues all day. This is ESPN Radio. And ESPN Radio Extra Point with Gabe Neitzel.
You've come all this way if you're the Celtics. You're at home. And that's the one advantage that the Celtics now have over every other team. And there's only 3 of them that have ever forced a Game 7 after being down 3-0 in an NBA playoff series. All 3 of those teams had to play Game 7 on the road. The Celtics get to play at home. They're going to be at home. But when it comes to the Heat, I think if you look back at this 10 to 20 years from now, if the Celtics complete the comeback, I think you're going to look at that roster and go, Remember Gabe Vincent? Remember Max Strus? Yeah, how did Jimmy Butler even get to the Eastern Conference Finals with this crew?
Right.
Like, they had the corpse of Kevin Love. Like, Kevin Love has been an actual useful player to the Miami Heat during this playoff run. Kyle Lowry isn't what Kyle Lowry is anymore. Jimmy Butler dragging this roster along with him to this point has been admirable.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing, man. You don't know who D. White is. You know who he is now.
Inbound to Smart. Turns and shoots a three left wing. Around and out.
There really was nobody on me. When he shot it, just tried to crash.
As a tip was good at the end, we're waiting to get an official ruling. And they count it. Oh, they count the tip. And Boston wins it.
And everything was like a blur after that.
Basketball for you. Basketball is fine. It's very, very, very entertaining.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now.
Yeah, it feels good. Oh,
It feels good, Dave. All right. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPN News, Sirius XM Channel 80, the ESPN app. Good guy, there's a laundry list of places this show is. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz, presented by Progressive Insurance. It was an all-timer, and we'll get the follow-up to it tonight, Game 7 between the Heat and the Celtics. And really, the story was about two stars for Miami that didn't show up. But I gotta ask a question. Apparently on this show, there's been a lot of conversation about Heat culture, and people have wanted to call in and talk about how they're not scared. Miami, how are we feeling now? How are we feeling about Heat culture now? 888 say ESPN 888-729-3776. But I'll also say this, Harry. On Fitz and Harry, which you can usually listen to noon to 3 on ESPN Radio with Harry Douglas and Jason Fitz, shameless plug. You and I talked last week about the fact that historically there's no real home court advantage at this point in Boston anymore. They had a losing record. Now they're 500 over the last 2 seasons at home. So I said very loudly on Twitter on a tweet that sort of blew up for us that I'm not scared of them going back to Boston because Boston hasn't been a home court advantage. Here's my question. I think we had 120,000 views on that tweet. I don't remember seeing any Celtics fan chime in. If the Celtics win in 7 and they come back and then start chirping, can you chirp if you didn't chirp before? Like, can you now chirp that tweet saying, like, you don't know what you're talking about when the tweet's been out there for a week and nobody chirped it until then? Are you allowed to chirp, but you have to wait till the outcome's done? I don't know.
No. Well, I think if your team comes down, like comes back from being down 3-0 in a Eastern Conference Finals and they make a finals appearance, I think that gives you a little leverage to go and, chirp a little bit because it's something they would have done something that's never been done in NBA history. Right. And that a lot of us thought was impossible and couldn't happen because of, at times them being inconsistent, but nor did we think at this juncture in this series, especially at Game 7, that the stars for the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would be playing in the manner that they're playing in.
Oh, I mean, and let's be clear. They were terrible. Jimmy Butler, I don't care about the final stat line, and I don't even care about the last 6 minutes of the game. Jimmy Butler missed 12 shots in the paint in Game 6. That's the most in any of his career, right?
Yeah.
Bam Adebayo missed 10 shots in the paint. The Heat had 36 misses in the paint. That's the most in any playoff game in 25 years. It wasn't just that Bam and Jimmy weren't able to get a lot of buckets. It's that they flat out weren't finishing at the rim. It was weird to watch so many shots, rim in, rim out, look weird. Like those two had terrible games, and Miami was still in it all the way to the very end. I'm stunned by that development.
Yeah, well, Jimmy Butler was 5 for 21 from the field, and then you had Bam, who was 4 for 16. Combined, the two guys were 9 of 37 from the field. And the Miami Heat still had an opportunity to win this basketball game. But I don't think this type of thing can transpire in a Game 7. You need the guys that you're counting on, your number 1 and your number 2 best player, to step up and make baskets. And I think Bam, I seen in Game 5, Fitz, you remember how fired up I was about the Game 5. I thought the Boston Celtics pushed him around a lot in that Game 5. Being able to let Jason Tatum guard you on the block and whatnot, to push you off the block, that's inexcusable. But then in a Game 6, I didn't think he lived up to the hype and played in the manner that he should have played. That's Bam I'm talking about. And then Jimmy Butler, when it comes to Butler, I think he's using entirely too many pump fakes. And here's why I say that. the Boston Celtics defense, I think, have been so disciplined and paid attention to detail to not go for Jimmy's pump fakes. Now I think it's time for Jimmy to counteract, right? Okay, just go for the shot the first time initially, because it's putting him in bad positions when he pump fakes, and then the Celtics defenders aren't going for it. And then we got to give Derek White a lot of credit. He was phenomenal in that game defensively, but the Celtics have been able to throw multiple bodies at Jimmy Butler to kind of keep him off his game a little bit in this last few games. So it's been phenomenal for the Celtics, not so much for the Miami Heat.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler's in a slump and has sort of lost some of his confidence. Hear me out on it. Like, you're talking about pump fakes. It just feels like he's making simple things look difficult. But also, even the advanced analytics that, I like diving into sometimes when we're looking at some of these things, they show you that when he's driving the lane, he's not really looking for contact. He's looking to pass the ball right now on his drive.
Wait, say it right there really quick.
He's not looking for contact. He's looking to get rid of it.
That's the thing that really stood out in the game 6 to me. And I thought the announcers even brought it up. He got fouled one time, and Jimmy was trying to tell the ref that he was trying to shoot the basketball, and clearly he was close in the paint, and he was trying to pass it. So there's moments where he's in there right by the rim, and he's not even looking to score the basketball. He's looking to pass it. You can't be passive when you're trying to help your team get to an NBA Finals, and you're the top player on that team.
In the first 2 games of this series, Jimmy Butler had basically a 2-to-1 ratio. When he drove the lane, 2 out of every 3 times it ended in a shot. In the last 4 games, he has more passes than shots when he drives the lane. Think about that. If you're looking at the last 4 games, he's not being as aggressive. And I feel like you and I have said that the last 2 games, saying this is the game where Jimmy Butler's going to come out really aggressive. It just feels like he can't find his spot to become aggressive with it. I don't like there's a moment where I thought aggressiveness meant simply throwing your body into it. He was doing that early into the game. It just wasn't something that he was doing with A, any level of effectiveness, and B, any level of finishing. So like there's a fine line here, but Jimmy Butler has to be the best player for the Heat. Bam Adebayo has to play better. Right now, Jimmy Butler looks like he's lost his mojo, and Bam Adebayo, like, as hard as is it for me to say this as a 5'9" white guy that doesn't play basketball, like Bam Adebayo looks soft compared to him. Like, he's getting pushed around. He looks soft. Tell me this, when you're looking underneath, you tell me, like, you're watching the end of this game and you're watching Bam go up. There are times that Bam is just he's out there like trying to get the ball, and everybody around him just gets there faster. They get there with more effectiveness. Like, he just got pushed around underneath. Tell me I'm wrong. He got pushed around.
Well, can I say this? No lies detected.
I mean,
I talked about that game 5, right? And how I felt he was being pushed around on numerous of occasions. Sometimes it's looking like, especially in that game 6, when Bam has the basketball, he's so indecisive because he's being, defense in a tightly manner. You got to give Al Horford some credit, because Al Horford has done a phenomenal job in this series and playing defense. But it's times where Bam looks a little timid with the basketball because of the Celtics defense. And the intensity by them has risen a ton.
How often do we hear quarterbacks, like, we always have that comment from whoever it was a few years ago, I'm seeing ghosts, like when defenses can start to confuse. Like, there's a level here.
Sam Darnold.
It was Sam Darnold, right.
Seeing ghosts.
There's a level for me that feels like both Bam and Jimmy are seeing ghosts right now. They don't even know what to do against this defense. It's wild. Andre in Michigan. Andre, thanks for calling the show, man. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up? What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Oh, we're great, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing excellent, man. As a Celtics fan, when we were down 3-0, I was nervous, but I told my coworkers, if we get one, that's it. Because I kept saying 1 game at a time. I made a lot of money on 1 game at a time. These last 3 games. Okay, that's all it takes. And now we're going back to Game 7. We're going back to Boston, and it's over. It's over. I'm sorry, it's over.
Look, let me ask you a question. So if the Celtics win this game tonight, when you go to work, tell us, we want to hear your emotion. How are you going to be when you get to work?
Yeah.
When I come in there, I'm going to be like, how about them Celtics? How about them Celtics, baby? 4 straight wins. We are 1 in 151. There we go. 1 in 151. The first team to come back from being down 3-0.
Oh, man.
It's over.
Hey, thanks for the call. That's amazing. B, I don't know what's going to be worse if this happens. Celtics fans for the next, 27 years saying we are the one that did it, or Greeny for the next 55 years saying he's the one that predicted it on Get Up. Either way, we're all screwed. Like, this is just going to go.
How ironic would it be, though? The Boston Red Sox came back from being down, 3-0 and won that series, and then went on to win the World Series. How ironic would that be?
That's all the more reason. Like, come on, Boston sports fans have had the Patriots, they've had the Bruins. You're a fan of the Bruins, obviously. They've had a historic comeback. We're going to give them another historic comeback. Like, at some point, like, let's just share a little of that choo-choo. I've got no dog in the fight either way. I can't figure it out. I do know that through all of this conversation we've been having, there is actually somebody that might be owed an apology. Maybe the outcomes of this game means it's time to rethink the way we talk about both of the coaches involved in this matchup. We're going to talk about it next, but first, Harry has to tell you this about Grainger.
Well, my great people, for the ones who get it done, Grainger offers high-quality supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as access to product specialists who have the knowledge and experience to answer your toughest questions. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Right wing Butler with 5, with 4 to the right corner, and he went for the shot. He was fouled by Horford. The tip was good at the end, but I think the buzzer sounded, and they counted.
Ball came to me, made a shot.
More Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max next.
Have you seen the cost of eggs lately? With these prices, we'd barely be scraping by if it weren't for Dave. It's the banking app that advances us up to $500 instantly. There's no interest, late fees, or credit checks. No joke. You can get extra cash for anything your family needs. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Showtime. Do you feel like your streaming subscriptions are out of control? Why not start the new year off right and cancel the ones you're not using? Enter the Rocket Money app. Rocket Money organizes your subscriptions by due date and notifies you when something is coming up. From there, decide whether to keep it or cancel it with just a tap. To find out more about Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/gameday or download the Rocket Money app from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Rocket Money, the finance app that works for you.
MLB fans, when you need tickets to catch your favorite team live all season long, Ticketmaster's got them. As the world's largest ticket marketplace, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of seats available and at competitive prices, so you never have to worry about missing a game. Take yourself out to the ballpark this season and get tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/MLB. That's Ticketmaster.com/MLB.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Sarah wants a yard. My own little paradise. Brad, however, hates yard work.
The only thing I hate more than cutting the grass is paying someone to cut the grass.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Sarah and Brad found a great home with a yard. A very, very small yard.
Time to get it done. And I'm done.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Did you know YouTube TV is more than cable for less than cable? That's right. YouTube TV has no long-term contracts or hidden fees, and it even lets you catch up to the live game with key plays. With the lineup of over 100 channels, you can watch live TV like cable. Signing up is simple. Get started in minutes and you can watch all the action of the NBA Finals live on ABC. So what are you waiting for? Try it free today at youtube.com/NBA23. New users only. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
You've never had anything like Kentucky Fried Chicken's new chicken nuggets. They're so good, you'll hear a random choir singing every time you open the box. Don't believe me? Just listen. Box open. KFC chicken nuggets. KFC. Box close. Open. Original recipe. KFC. Close. Can we get a remix? Order KFC's new chicken nuggets on the KFC app today. That's finger looking good. Prices and participation may vary.
Greeny.
LeBron is definitely not retiring. Definitely not. Never listen to what a player says about his future in the frustrated moments after a defeat that ends his season.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Long before there was reality TV shows, there was American Gladiators.
We sold out everywhere we went. No one cares if you're sore. No one cares if you're sick.
These games were not safe for humans to play. It was a given that they were all on steroids.
They always wanted impact.
Was it worth the punishment that their bodies were taking?
30 for 30 presents the American Gladiators documentary, Part 1, tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Streaming same night on ESPN+.
It's finals time, where what happens next lives on forever, where history awaits. And seconds last for eternity. This time is for all time.
The NBA Finals, presented by YouTube TV, begins June 1st on ABC.
The pitch to him, lined out into center field. This one has a chance to get out, and it is gone into the fountain in center field. Matt Olson, his second two-run home run of the game. The Braves are just piling it on here tonight against the Phillies.
Sports Center. That's how it sounded on ESPN Radio. Matt Olson hit a pair of two-run homers for Atlanta. Really, for the great Harry Douglas, who was in attendance with his family, in an 11-4 victory over the Phillies on Sunday night. Baseball. NBA Finals. Tune in tonight. Game 7 of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals as the Celtics, who host the Heat, look to become the first team in NBA playoff history to overcome a 3-0 deficit to win a best-of-7 series. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations and on Sirius XM Channel 80. Thoughts and prayers for all of us listening to Greeny if he was right about this one. Also, a little hockey action for you. After failing to close out the Western Conference Final the previous two games, the Vegas Golden Knights travel to Dallas. For the love of God, I need this. Trying to finish off the Stars. You can catch Game 6, ESPN, ESPN Plus, beginning at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. I cannot handle a Game 7, so I need Vegas to win this tonight. Sports Center, presented by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance like I do with Annabelle. Love you, Annabelle.
Right wing Butler with 5, with 4 to the right corner, and he went for the shot. He was fouled by Horford. Are they going to say it was on the floor? Butler is behind the three-point line. Inbound to Smart. Turns it just a 3 left wing. Around and out as a tip was good at the end. And they count it. And Boston wins it.
Smart flash hit him, and there really was nobody on me. So I just faced to the corner, and then when he shot it, just tried to crash. Ball came to me, made a shot.
Just a few days ago, it was quite clear that one of the biggest issues in this series seemed to be a coaching discrepancy. On one side, you have Joe Mazzulla, the young new head coach of Boston. Can he get enough? Can he do enough to save his job? Are things going to turn around for the Celtics? On the other side, you have Eric Spoelstra, considered to be one of, if not the best current coaches in the NBA. We were ready to call this series done in part because of the coaches. Now that we are down to a Game 7, it might be time to revisit the conversation. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz, brought to you by Beacon. Beacon and the Beacon Pro Plus app helps roofers get things done from anywhere, 24/7. Beacon, always building. The Celtics have been building the last few games, Harry, and I want to play this for you because this is you. from our show, Fitz and Harry, last week. And this was, I think, a fair and honest moment after we watched the Heat go down. I want you to hear this so that we can figure out if we're ready to revisit. This is Harry Douglas from Fitz and Harry, the glorious ESPN radio show. You can hear noon to 3 Eastern.
There have been moments in this series, and I will say throughout this playoffs, where we've questioned Joe Mazzulla on so many levels. And he said his team wasn't ready, but I would ask, is Joe Mazzulla ready for these moments? Because in this series so far, it looked like he doesn't.
Now we go into game 7, Harry. Are we rethinking this Mazzulla thought?
Yeah, 100%. And up until that point when I made that statement, you had things transpire. You had things that happened in the Philadelphia 76ers series. You had things that went down and the wrong way for the Boston Celtics in this series. But I think now, the Boston Celtics had their backs against the walls when they were down 0-3. But Joe Mazzulla being able to galvanize his players and keep them together and keep them together and have the mindset to fight and take one game at a time has been phenomenal. And we've been seeing some greatness from Joe Mazzulla of late. I'm going to point out things that happened in game 6. Jaylen Brown gets his 4th foul with 9:49 left in the third quarter. That's huge in this ball game, right? But Joe Mazzulla rolled the dice because he's seen his team struggle a little bit offensively. Jason Tatum had 0 points in that third quarter. He put him back in the game, Jaylen Brown, that is, with 5:30 left in the game. Well, Jaylen Brown, as soon as he came back in, scored a basket and ended up scoring 6 points in that stretch. He ended up scoring 8 totally in that third. But then you get to the fourth quarter and Jaylen Brown gives you 7 points. So at that moment, Joe Mazzulla rolled the dice and bet on one of his best player or his second best player because he needed that offensive lift, and he hit the jackpot because Jaylen Brown was able to be phenomenal in scoring the basketball from the free throw line and also from the field, giving him 15 points and giving the Boston Celtics 15 points in the second half, 15 of his 26. So I love that about Joe Mazzulla. Also, the last play of the game. Sometimes we see things happen on the basketball court, and it's because what your coaches preach and teach every single day. We've seen a guy in Derek White not standing around and just watching the play. Well, if Joe Mazzulla lets him stand around and just watch the play, is that going to happen? No, he probably doesn't allow that to happen. He teaches those guys to crash the boards. But also understanding that within that last play, they're probably going to take Jason Tatum away. Getting to your second option and making sure that Derek White, the guy taking the basketball out, find somebody else, Marcus Smart making himself available to put them in a situation to get the tip back and win the game. So those are 2 things that really stood out to me. And then the third thing, though, when he was able to challenge the shot by Jimmy Butler to see if it was a foul or not. A lot of people from the Boston Celtics hated that he was challenging that. Well, guess what? If he didn't challenge it, you wouldn't have had enough time for Derek White to get that putback and win the basketball game. So just 3 plays in 3 situations in that game 6 that I thought Joe Mazzulla did a great job of. And now he's at a point in his career where we were questioning a lot of things. But I think right now at this moment, this can be one of the greatest, I think, narrative shifts in NBA history, as well as the comeback if the Boston Celtics can get this done.
I think about just the way everybody in this industry, the way our jobs work. Like I've said this to you before, but one of the weirdest things about what we do is we sit in front of a microphone and we give a book report after every chapter of a book. So sometimes you might have read one chapter of a book. Now you have to give a report. It's the best book ever. And then the ending sucks, right? Sometimes it's the opposite. Like it was a terrible book, but the ending's great. Like this is just the inevitability of what we do. Joe Mazzulla particularly has an incredibly limited body of work. I don't think it's unfair to look at big moments in these playoffs where the Celtics haven't shown up, where he said, well, I just don't have the guys ready. We've questioned the stars and we've questioned the coach at different times throughout the course of this playoff. I think all of that is fair given the way they played. I also think that the one thing that you and I were asking for from the Celtics was something we've seen in the past, was a better defensive identity. And we haven't seen it. We saw it under Ime Udoka. We haven't seen it under Mazzulla. Over the last 3 games, we have seen it under Mazzulla. You mentioned it earlier. Like it feels like defensively right now, the Celtics are confusing Bam and Jimmy. Those are specific things that are being adjusted by Mazzulla that speaks to the job he's doing. I think it's fair after 3 games watching this team find weird ways to lose, and particularly the way they laid down in game 3 and to say, what the hell is going on? It's now fair after 3 more games to say, man, Missoula was backed into a corner and he punched his way out. I have nothing but respect for the ability of a coach to do that. We've got some calls that want to get in on this. Darren in Connecticut. Darren, thanks for calling the show, man. What do you got for us?
Oh, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Just want to give Joe a shout out. You guys said it, really well in the last segment there, but I feel like we live in a society and a world now where it's, we need instant gratitude and success. And, the media was calling for this guy's job. And, we all forget that he's really young and this is his first year coaching. He's even coaching guys that are older than him. So, he's made so many adjustments in this series. And I think we just need to give him more credit than we're currently giving him.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. And I think let me say it this way, Harry. I think now he's getting credit that is fair for the work that is being done right now. Like, there's just a different level of pressure. Like, when you're 34 and you're the Celtics coach, I'm sorry, it's going to be different than if you're 34 and you're the Pacers coach, right? Like, there's just more eyes with this team and their past going to the finals. There were going to be more eyes on the job and more scrutiny on the job Missoula does.
Well, I want to give him a lot of credit because he's been able to adjust and learn on the fly, right? And in an NBA playoffs, in an Eastern Conference Finals, he's been able to do that. That's not easy to do. Like normally, like guys, his age that are young, coming up, trying to do tremendous things, they wait till the off season to try to figure out what things that they did wrong. No, he's took it upon himself to self-reflect. I love how he is with the media now. He's not, giving those sound bites where you could tell he's irritated by certain things that the media is being said. He's answering things head on, but also he has his players responding. That is key in all this. The adjustments that he's making, but also his players have responded. So that lets me know that he does have their ear.
888 say ESPN 888-729-3776. We're going to let you guys keep chiming in all over. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz taking over for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning. And I want to break down a little bit of what you said because you just talked about some of the developments that have happened. We're going to take your calls, but realistically, there was one huge development in Game 6. And the craziest part about it is it should have helped the Heat win. Can it be replicated? We'll answer that for you next. Fitz and Harry filling in for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio.
The 2 best words in sports. Game 7. Will the Miami Heat complete the historic upset? Or will it be the Celtics who make history by coming back from down 3 games to none? Coverage begins tonight at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Presented by Indeed. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on SiriusXM Channel 80. Memorial Day on ESPN Radio. Carlos Correa. Wow. And the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins head to Houston to face Yordan Alvarez and the Astros.
Hit a ton. Yordan Alvarez with a 3-run homer.
The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Coverage begins today at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
Tuesday on Canty and Carlin, nothing better than a Game 7. We've got it, Celtics and Heat.
And with the Heat facing elimination, can playoff Jimmy deliver?
It's Tuesday, Canty and Carlin, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Austin is not dogless.
They've lost their dog. There are missing signs all over, like Massachusetts. Dog missing. Call Brad Stevens if found.
Check out the Dominic Foxworth Show anywhere you get your podcast.
The Women's College World Series.
Ready to raise a ruckus in Oklahoma City.
8 teams and a world of possibility.
They are picking up the bats. You don't get out of your seat. You don't blink.
Softball's best compete for the ultimate crowd.
A championship is contested on the grandest stage in softball.
The NCAA Women's College World Series, presented by Capital One, begins Thursday at noon Eastern on ESPN.
Jason Fitz and Harry Douglas are Fitz and Harry.
I'm waiting for Anthony Davis to be like the dominant, like the guy, the dog, yes. Like the oh my God, you cannot stop him force. That wasn't there. if we're never going to ask players to evolve in the way they approach the game, then that changes all of our conversations. Like, I guess this year, if Dak throws a bunch of interceptions for the Cowboys, we can't look at him and say, calm that down. That's just who Dak suddenly has become. Who he is not an argument to not sit here and critique it. I mean, at some point, we have the right to look at somebody and say, I don't care what you've done. You were brought in to be the face of the organization and to take the baton from LeBron. You are neither at this point. You are not the face of the organization. You didn't take the baton from LeBron. We're not sure LeBron believes he can win a championship with you, and we're pretty sure the Lakers don't believe they can win a championship only with you. That is not enough.
Fitz and Harry, weekdays at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
It's finals time, where what happens next lives on forever, where history awaits. And seconds last for eternity. This time is for all time.
The NBA Finals, presented by YouTube TV, begins June 1st on ABC.
Listen, I'll tell you one thing, man. If you don't know who D. White is, you know who he is now.
Inbound to Smart. Turns and shoots a three left wing. Around and out.
There really was nobody on me. When he shot it, just tried to crash.
As a tip was good at the end, we're waiting to get an official ruling. And they count it. Oh, they count the tip. And Boston wins it.
Everything was like a blur after that. Basketball for you. Basketball is fine. It's very, very, very entertaining.
We wish we could tip this thing off right now.
Admittedly, one of my favorite games to play in reacting to any event is What If I Told You? And when you look at the What If I Told You for Game 6, I think it's pretty clear that Miami is going to look back and wonder about the opportunity they lost. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, ESPN News, Sirius XM Channel 80, and the ESPN app. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. Hopefully, if you're just finding us for the first time, you'll consider hanging out with us every weekday from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. That's where you can usually find us all of these same places. Harry, for me, sometimes, when we do this, and we do this a lot on our show, if we go in and we say, well, what if I told you? And, when you do the what if I told you for what we've seen so far in this playoff matchup, there is a moment here where the unexpected of what we had in the last game came from the role players, right? Like, what if I told you that we would be looking at an effective shooting night from Duncan Robinson, a strong 13 points, 15 from Gabe Vincent back on the floor, Caleb Martin coming in and just crushing at 21 points and having just an incredible 15 rebounds in that performance also. If I told you up and down the board that you gotten those sorts of contributions from everybody else not named Bam and not named Jimmy Butler and told you that it was going to be a close game, you would think that's the type of game, like that's the method for Miami to win. I'm still stunned that they wasted a great night from everybody not named Jimmy and Bam.
Well, let me add this on top of it. You talk about shooting 46% from a three-point line in the night in which the Celtics wasn't great from a three-point line, and only having 5 turnovers, the Miami Heat as a basketball team, to the 12 that the Boston Celtics had. Added to what you just mentioned about Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, and Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson had 10 points in the fourth quarter. You point me out one person, Fitz, if I would have asked them that Duncan Robinson would have had 10 points in the fourth quarter and been a key piece of the Miami Heat and trying to get a victory and send their team to the NBA Finals. If you show me one person that said that would have happened, I'll tell you you're a lie. And my grandma always taught me a lie don't care who tell it. But what you just mentioned, though, the supporting cast for the Miami Heat did everything that they were supposed to do. But I will add this. There are also a few guys that I think that hasn't been phenomenal over the last few games. I don't think Max Strus has stepped up to his capabilities and been able to be a player that the Miami Heat needs him to be in order for them to win this series. I don't think Kyle Lowry the last few games have stepped up and played the kind of basketball that they need him to play. Kevin Love has been MIA. he's been non-existent in this series. When he was starting, he still didn't have great showings when he was out there on the basketball court. So I think there are a few more pieces to this puzzle that needs to be added. But what the other three did in this game 6 should have been enough for the Miami Heat to get a victory on top of shooting well from the three, on top of taking care of the basketball. But the guys that you were counting on, your stars, in which these playoffs, superstar Jimmy Butler, star player supposed to be Bam Adebayo, didn't carry their weight. That's why there's a game 7 today, and the Miami Heat aren't going to the NBA Finals after game 6.
I mean, think about, Harry, some of the cheesy conversation that happened everywhere with the Lakers. Did the Lakers just waste a LeBron game? My thing here is, like, did the Heat just waste a contributors game? Because, Jimmy Butler is shooting 5 of 21 from the field, which is just gross. 5 of 21. Bam Adebayo, 4 of 16 from the field, which is just gross. If either of them had just normal games for them, if either of them had been normally efficient for who they are as basketball players, then the Heat would be headed to the NBA final. Like, the Heat asked everybody else to do so much in this process. And you're right. They survive a night where, frankly, again, better to be lucky than good sometimes. But you look at the way that they survived just a terrible 3-point shooting night by the Celtics. The Celtics gave opportunities for Miami to win this game, and they weren't able to go through the door that was left cracked open. Like, that's a part of this that I think is going to eat the Heat alive for a long time. Is it for all the conversation about Heat culture? They got a Heat culture from all the guys that aren't superstars, and they didn't get it from their stars.
Well, the top 2 dogs for the Boston Celtics combined together went 0 for 12 from the 3-point line. You got to take advantage of that. Now, I understand Jason Tatum had 31, 25 came in the first half. Jaylen Brown had 26, 15 came in the second half. But for the Miami,
isn't that that's the method though, right? Think about it. Like, Tatum's going to beat you in the first half, and and then Brown's going to beat you in the second half.
But let me tell you why I thought the Miami Heat messed up, and I thought Coach Spoelstra didn't, put his expertise on the game, nor did Jimmy Butler say anything about it. When Jaylen Brown got his four foul at the 9:49 mark, when he came back in the game at the 5:30 mark, whoever was guarding, Jaylen Brown was guarding, should have been in the pick and roll, should have been putting him in a pick and roll situation every time down the court with Jimmy Butler, because he was in a position where he could not foul. I thought that was a big and a major missed opportunity by the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra didn't notice it, and also I didn't think Jaylen Brown noticed it. Jimmy Butler. Yeah. So when you have a guy of Jaylen Brown's caliber with 4 fouls, he can't finish the game with 4 fouls, and he got his 4th one at 9:49 in the third quarter. You gotta put him in a pick and roll situation every time down the court and force him to make a decision. Is he going to defend and let you get a bucket, or is he going to pick up his 5th and 6th foul? I thought that was a missed opportunity from the Miami Heat and their head coach, and also their star player in Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, situational awareness. It's missing for Miami from this last game. Let's get y'all's thoughts on it. Dave in Maryland. Dave, this morning, as a Celtics fan, Dave, how we feeling, buddy? Game 7. How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling. Let me tell you something, man. You see a movie and you already know what the script is and you know how the finish is going to happen, but there's nothing you can do about it. Like, I knew that the Celtics would probably fight back, because what they are is they're horrible front runners, right? Just like with the Celtics against the Warriors in the finals, took a 2-1 lead last year, and then the Warriors ran 3 straight on series over. The Celtics have been under 500 at home lately. They've been struggling. They're not good front runners. They almost blew the Sixers series last series. They came in here thinking they were just going to roll. They don't. They blow games. So when the Heat got this 3-0 lead, this is a perfect situation for Boston. Because nobody's thinking they can do it. So that's when they're good. They can make comebacks. Miami it's like the opposite. They're good when nobody thinks they're going to win. So I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm a Celtics fan. Been a Celtics fan for 35 years. But I know we're going to lose tonight. And why? Because the pressure is now on Boston big time, because they're at home. They're thinking, great, we got home. Guys, we know they should have lost game 6. They blew that lead. They were up 9 points with 3 minutes to go, and they tried to choke that game away. And they got lucky because Derek White made a great great rebound play. But we all know if the ball bounces differently, we're talking something different. So now in game 7, all the pressure's on Boston. Miami knows they got nothing to lose. They're not even supposed to be there. And I'm telling you right now, guys, I'm telling you, Miami is going to win tonight, and I'm going to be sick. And I know you ain't hosting the show tomorrow, but I'm going to call in tomorrow. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, you can call in to Fitz and Harry. We'll be there noon to 3. Call in and hang out with us.
12 to 3 p.m.
Come
Eastern
on,
time, right?
Say ESPN Radio, Sirius XM. Dave, thanks for the call. Here's the thing, Harry. It's rare that I get to open your eyes to something because you don't feel this as an athlete. I feel this as a fan. I know what Dave's going through right now. He's going through the justification. Like, you know how big tonight is, so you're just preparing yourself for the hurt so that when it happens, if it happens, you don't hurt as much. Now, if it doesn't happen, then you've given yourself all of this. But, it's too much. It's the few times in my life the Raiders have been in significant football games, I spend all day justifying why it's not going to go my way so that I am prepared for the hurt that's coming. That's what Dave's doing. It's fan hurt.
Well, can I say this? Yeah. Since Dave said that, the heat is on. No. The heat is on. The heat is on. The heat is on.
I don't know. Are we allowed to sing? Can we afford the licensing around here? Nuno's not even he's letting us sing. Are you taking the Heat tonight? Are you in on the Heat for this game?
Are we making picks right now?
Well, no. I mean,
you just prematurely just doing things. You slow down.
Premature.
Slow down.
I got premature.
Oh, I know where this is going.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even going to try and find a way to do it. Nope. I like my job.
Wouldn't be the first time. Wouldn't be the first time for you, huh? Wouldn't be the first time, buddy.
Oh man. All right, we've got plenty to break down on this game, and I'm going to try and keep my job coming up. Even if you hate the Celtics, actually rooting for history. We'll answer it next. It's a Harry and Fitz, whatever our show name is, takeover.
O'Reilly. Does your vehicle have over 75,000 miles? Get maximum high mileage engine protection with new Syntec full synthetic high mileage motor oil exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec high mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limit supply. Ask for Syntec high mileage at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Finally, baseball is back. Swing into the season with tickets to the action. Plus, with basketball and hockey heating up, now is a great time to experience a game. Vivid Seats is proud to be the official ticketing partner of ESPN. From on the glass to in the stands, Vivid Seats has great ticket prices to all the games. Every crack of the bat, every dribble down the court. Catch it all with Vivid Seats. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats. Experience it live.
The Dell Technologies Summer Sale event starts now with limited quantity deals on select performance PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Save on select Vostro laptops with built-in security features and select Latitude laptops with enhanced privacy, collaboration, and connectivity. Save on essential accessories, plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to business customers by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
The Dave app wants to change the way you bank, starting with putting more money in your pocket. Get up to $500 instantly with an extra cash advance. You can even earn more money with a side hustle. Dave also helps you level up your cash with ways to budget, set goals, and save. It's the banking app for smarter money moves. Download the Dave app now or go to dave.com. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking services provided by Evolve. Member FDIC.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Susan has always wanted to live in a chateau. I like a certain je ne sais quoi. While Jake is more into the Cape Cod style home.
It's a classic look.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle home and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they can save even more. In the end, Susan and Jake found a Cape Cod style home where they will only speak French.
Bonjour, je t'aime, merci beaucoup, and cordon bleu.
You'll get better with time. Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
MLB fans, when you need tickets to catch your favorite team live all season long, Ticketmaster's got them. As the world's largest ticket marketplace, Ticketmaster has a wide selection of seats available and at competitive prices, so you never have to worry about missing a game. Take yourself out to the ballpark this season and get tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/MLB. That's Ticketmaster.com/MLB.
Netflix, Amazon Prime, HBO, Showtime. Do you feel like your streaming subscriptions are out of control? Why not start the new year off right and cancel the ones you're not using? Enter the Rocket Money app. Rocket Money organizes your subscriptions by due date and notifies you when something is coming up. From there, decide whether to keep it or cancel it with just a tap. To find out more about Rocket Money, go to rocketmoney.com/gameday or download the Rocket Money app from the Apple app or Google Play stores. Rocket Money, the finance app that works for you.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Always building.
The season was on the line. We don't want to go home. Everybody just like make a play.
Inbound to Smart. Turns it, shoots the 3 left wing. Around and out. They count the tip. He got it off in time. I don't know how. Boston's going to win it, and we're going to a game 7.
We just gave ourselves another chance. It's not time to celebrate. You know, the job is far from finished, but I've never been so excited to go back to Boston in my life because it's going to be fun.
I'm not going to let anybody quit. I'm not going to let our guys quit. We're going to go in there. We're going to win.
It's a 7-game series. There's nothing better than game 7s for all the stakes.
Two franchises with recent history that's undeniable have become bitter rivals fighting themselves in Game 7, a historic Game 7, a historic opportunity for the Boston Celtics to become the first team ever in NBA history to come back from a 3-0 deficit in the playoffs and win the series. The question is, are you rooting for history? It's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Although it's the Fitz and Harry takeover, Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz, you can usually hang out with us from noon to 3 Eastern, obviously on ESPN Radio and Sirius XM Channel 80. Taking over the morning show right now. You're listening to us on those places, plus ESPN2, ESPN News, and the ESPN app. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. And Harry, number one, Greeny's going to be insufferable. Can we all acknowledge, if Greeny is right about this, because Greeny said from the outset, I'm telling you, you're going to have to agree with me. And now, that's what I'm most afraid of. For the next 30 years, Greeny could have every take wrong, and he will preface it by saying, I told you about the Celtics, and no one believed me then. That's the autonomy.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
As he damn sure should.
No. I would
because when you make a statement like that, and then now the team that you said is going to come back and win a series, being down 3-0, has an opportunity to do that in a Game 7. And if they actually do that, if I was Greeny, I'm milking it until I leave Earth.
Yeah, I
really am.
You and I know that I don't live by the credo of act like you've been there before. I get one take right like that, I'm rubbing it in everybody's face for the rest of time. I would make Greeny look like child's play with the amount of trash talking I would do on this. I get it completely, but I do think for random sports fans, this is really interesting, right? Because if you're just a casual NBA fan and you're going to go to the bar tonight, you're going to turn this game will be on while you have a drink. You're either looking at the possibility of, oh my God, the Celtics have made history, or you're looking at the possibility of Jimmy Butler and Eric Spoelstra, who get so much street cred in the way that they're perceived, are going to turn around and do the unthinkable, go into Boston, win Game 7, and force the ever difficult path for Miami to get into the NBA Finals. The emotion behind this, the pressure behind this game is actually wildly interesting to me, because I could certainly look at both sides and say the pressure is almost insurmountable.
Yes, I'm glad you made that point, Fitz, because I think it's pressure on both sides. You're looking at the Boston Celtics, who's the 2 seed coming into this playoffs, who as soon as Milwaukee lost, a lot of people thought was the favorite to win the NBA Finals. They find themselves in the hole 3-0. They come back, they tie the series. Now you're going into a Game 7 that's not on the road against Miami like it was last year, a year ago to the exact date. but you're at home where you're only 500. You're 5-5, and also haven't been, overly good the last 2 years. The pressure is on you. You have the superstar player in Jason Tatum. You have the star player in Jaylen Brown. You have one of the deepest teams right now in the NBA that's left. So, of sixth man of the year, even though Malcolm Brogdon missed the last game, there are a lot of things that you have in your favor if you're the Boston Celtics. But at the same time, that allows a lot of pressure to creep in as well. I don't think they're going into this ball game saying that, all the pressure is on Miami, even though Jason Tatum may have said it at one point. I don't believe that to be true. And then if you're the Miami Heat, even though you were the 8th seed coming into the playoffs, and a lot of people think you shouldn't be here at this moment, you can't think like that. You just had an opportunity to win a game 6 to go to a NBA Finals if you are able to get a rebound off of a missed shot. So I think it's pressure on them to not let that game 6 cloud their minds and cloud their thinking and their play, and to go out here and actually to perform. But I think it's a ton of pressure on Jimmy Butler as well.
I think you're right about all of that, but there's a level of the Heat. They have the easiest chip on the shoulder, right? In my mind, it's super easy for everybody in that locker room to convince themselves, and you athletes always have to convince yourself somebody's rooting against you, right? Like, there is this moment of, oh, you know what? Nobody gave us a chance coming in, and now everybody's rooting against us because they want to see history. Yep. The NBA doesn't want us to go there because they want the Celtics there. Fans don't think we can do this in Boston. Like, they're going to manufacture all of these chips over the course, and have been manufacturing all of these chips over the course of the last 24 hours to convince themselves that everybody's rooting against Miami. So I think that actually could allow Miami to play kind of footloose and fancy free. But the other side of it is, if you're Eric Spoelstra and your team blows this lead, like, I'm sorry, but the way we talk about a coach that, a week ago was one of the best in NBA history and currently arguably the best coach in the league, all of these things that we've said glowingly about Spo, if he becomes the first coach to blow a 3-0 lead in the playoffs, you can't tell me that doesn't become part of his narrative for the rest of time.
Well, also, and I think you look at the manner that it would have been in, being up 3-0, but there's been little spots here and there in the last few games where I thought Spo could have been better as a coach, right? And Joe Mazzulla has stepped up and, overcome some of his deficiencies and has been a better coach in these last few games. So I think when you look at all those things, and Spoelstra's going to go down as, in the Hall of Fame, NBA Hall of Fame, because he was phenomenal. My brother, Tony Douglas, was able to play for him down there in Miami the year that the Miami Heat lost the NBA Finals. And he has nothing but phenomenal things to say about Coach Spoelstra because he is that guy. But you do not want to be on that side of history because, Fitz, guess what? As I talked about, Greeny talking about if the Celtics are able to win this Game 7 for the rest of his life until he leaves this earth, guess what else will be talked about on the flip side of that if the Miami Heat lose this game? And Eric Spoelstra's name is going to be attached to that. Them losing a playoff series for the first time when a team has been up 3-0. So you don't want to be on that side of history if you're the Miami Heat.
You are 1,000% right. He's Harry Douglas. I'm Jason Fitz. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio. Dennis in Delaware chiming in on the presser conversation with the Celtics. Dennis, thanks for calling the show, man. What you got?
Hey, man, Harry, I'm still rocking the candles every day, man.
That's right, baby. That's what I'm talking about. There's nothing wrong with a little smell good in your house, baby.
That smell good, yeah.
Heck no. Now, here's the thing. Jimmy Butler didn't have a great game in Game 6, but he did come through down the stretch, hit the big free throws. And listen, he put 56 on the board on the road, Game 7 against the Milwaukee Bucks. Listen, I could see that happening again tonight. I really can. All the pressure's on Boston. I agree with your prior callers. I just think this Miami team, they play really good when their backs to the wall. It don't matter where they are. But, it's going to be a great game. It's going to come down the stretch, no doubt about it. And Game 6 was awesome. I give Joe some credit like you did before, but that play would have been challenged anyway by Miami, the three-pointer. But I like Jimmy Butler tonight. All my money's on Jimmy.
Dennis,
thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, man.
Let me say this really quick. I think Miami could not have challenged that play because they had lost their challenge earlier in the game because they had used it.
Right.
But let me say this about Jimmy, though. Jimmy was able to, with 4 minutes left in the game, Jimmy was able to score 13 points. He had 15 in the fourth quarter. So, yes, he did rise to the occasion when they needed him down the stretch. Our thing is that if Jimmy just plays a tiny bit more decent than he did in that game, the Miami Heat probably win that game 6.
Yeah, if he played in the first 3 quarters the way he played in the fourth. But here's the funny thing. Dennis just said that the Celtics have all the pressure. Jacob in New Orleans. Jacob, this is why I love this whole conversation in some ways, because you got one thought coming from Dennis. Now, Jacob, who's the pressure on tonight in your mind?
Oh, the pressure is definitely on the Heat. If you look back at it, everybody's been talking about this all week long. 0 into 150, 0 against 150. Do you really want to be that one team that loses coming back from 3-0? Like, have not had pressure on them all series long, going down 3-0. Now all of a sudden, because they have to win this game, the pressure's on. If you want to say that, then yeah, but the pressure's on both teams in that fact. But you really don't want to be the first team to lose after 150 teams have showed you otherwise. Kind of to Harry's point. We're talking about Coach Spo. You really want to be that one coach in that loss column.
Jacob, I don't disagree with that. Thanks for the call, man. Harry,
you don't want to be that team, Vince. Can I say this though? So I have to deal with this when it comes to, my Atlanta Falcons. You know how much I love that organization. But a moment where I didn't even play for the Falcons at the time, I was in Tennessee, but they made a Super Bowl and they won. They was up 28-3 in that game, and Tom Brady and the Patriots were able to come back. I have to hear that from people every single day, damn near, because of that comeback. So you don't want to be on certain sides of history when it comes to sports.
You're blowing my mind because you're right. Like, I said this on our show last week. We were talking about something else, but imagine that process and the way we talk about the Buffalo Bills for going to 4 straight Super Bowls that they lost. We talk about them like there's just this junk team that's no good because they lost 4 straight Super Bowls without ever acknowledging, hey, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls. It's so wildly difficult to do. But the Bills, even if they go to the Super Bowl this year, the first conversation will be about the franchise's history with it. You're right. If the Heat lose this series, every single time that there's a team up 3-0, the Heat are going to come up in the conversation. Every single time the Heat have a 3-0 lead for the rest of their organization's history, it'll be, well, remember, the Heat are the only team that's ever been in this situation before and lost. You're right. With the way we couch a negative, we'll never get through that. Like, it will always be a part of the Miami City. That has to bear some sort of pressure.
Well, that's why it's pressure, I think, on both sides, right? Yeah. Now, the pressure and the amounts of it may be different, and the reasons because of the pressure may be different, but there is pressure on the Boston Celtics and Joe Mazzulla and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the 6th man of the year, Malcolm Brogdon, if he comes out there and play. But then there's also pressure on Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Bam. There's pressure on him because his last 2 games have not been – they've been anything but phenomenal. They've been not up to the play that it should be in the Eastern Conference Finals from your second best player in the last 2 games to try to clinch and go to an NBA Finals. So there's pressure across the board individually when it comes to certain players. There's pressure individually when it comes to the coaches, but also as a team aspect, there's pressure on both of these teams for different reasons.
It's also a game 7. Like, I don't want to oversimplify here, but it's a game 7. Everybody's going to feel like it's going to be puckered up. Everybody's going to be a little puckered.
But guess what? When game 7 comes, who got to show up fits in game 7s?
Everybody.
But mainly who though?
Stars.
Your stars and your superstars got to show up.
I got a 50-50.
Show up and show out.
Yeah, and both have done it. Butler and Tatum have both had huge game 7s. It's going to be absolutely must watch tonight, must listen to. You can check it out on ESPN Radio. We've got plenty to break down on this game. We're going to keep taking your calls. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We're going to let you keep getting in on the fun. But also, while you were busy paying attention to the NBA, to Major League Baseball, and to the NHL over the course of the weekend, one epic NFL franchise just told the entire world they're tanking this year. I'll tell you about it next. It's a Fitz and Harry takeover of Keyshawn J.
Wah, cry me a river, Fitz.
Wow. I don't, and Harry and I are going to fight. That's next, obviously. We're going to fight. That's coming up on Keyshawn J. Willimax on ESPN Radio.
Grady.
LeBron is definitely not retiring. Definitely not. Never listen to what a player says about his future in the frustrated moments after a defeat that ends his season.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. This is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Shopify presents cool sheets from aha to
lying awake while you bake isn't cool. I suffered from the wrong kind of hot in bed, heat-induced insomnia. That was my aha moment. Bed sheets that keep you cool. Then I thought, how do I even sell bed sheets? That's when I had the idea that made it all possible, signing up on Shopify. With the help of Shopify's intuitive online store creator, I started selling sustainable bamboo sheets that keep cool year-round. And my cool idea became a reality. Hot sleepers around the world rejoice. Shopify makes it simple to keep your cool while starting and growing your business. Start selling with Shopify today and join the commerce platform powering millions of businesses worldwide. From aha to anything is possible.
This is Possibility, powered by Shopify. Start selling online today. Sign up for a free trial at shopify.com/play. Shopify.com/play.
You've never had anything like Kentucky Fried Chicken's new chicken nuggets. They're so good, you'll hear a random choir singing every time you open the box. Don't believe me? Just listen. Box open.
KFC, chicken nuggets, KFC.
Box close. Open.
Original recipe and rabbit, KFC.
Close. Can we get a remix? Order KFC's new chicken nuggets on the KFC app today. That's finger looking good. Prices and participation may vary.
Did you know YouTube TV is more than cable for less than cable? That's right. YouTube TV has no long-term contracts or hidden fees, and it even lets you catch up to the live game with key plays. With the lineup of over 100 channels, you can watch live TV like cable. Signing up is simple. Get started in minutes, and you can watch all the action of the NBA Finals live on ABC. So what are you waiting for? Try it free today at youtube.com/NBA23. New users only. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Memorial Day on ESPN Radio. Carlos Correa. Wow. And the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins head to Houston to face Yordan Alvarez and the Astros.
Hit a ton. Yordan Alvarez with a 3-run homer.
The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Coverage begins today at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
Twist cabbage on instinct. Don't think, stink pink gators. My Detroit players. Tim's for my hooligans in Brooklyn.
It's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, ESPN2, ESPNU, presented by Progressive Insurance. Harry Douglas, Jason Fitz. So it's really a Fitz and Harry takeover. You can listen to us most days, well, every weekday from noon to 3. Not today, since we're already doing this, but come hang out with us from noon to 3 on ESPN Radio, inside the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80, all of those same places. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. We'll get back to all of the NBA Game 7 action you could possibly want to break down. Ton on the Celtics Heat game that you can watch tonight on ESPN. We all know how incredible that game is. But we need to get a little expertise brought in here because I'm going to be honest, like, I might have had to open up a bottle of whiskey this weekend. Got some news that wasn't particularly good for my favorite football team. Jeremy Fowler, ESPN NFL Insider, joining us now. And Jeremy, you know, usually I try not to lead with the Raiders question, but let's be real. Over the weekend, big breaking news as Pro Football Talk, I think, was the first to come out and talk about it. But Jimmy Garoppolo contract addendum, apparently, and it looks like the Raiders have a safety clause. If he doesn't pass a physical, they never have to pay him. What am I supposed to make of this at this point?
Well, you know, teams can weave in contract language to get a deal over the finish line that they feel is favorable to them, or at least protects them in the case of catastrophic injury. So that appears to be the case with the Raiders. They feel like, hey, if Garoppolo can't get on the field, can't pass a physical down the road, then they could move on, and his guarantees of $22.5 million would essentially unlock. But that is nobody's plan. The Raiders still believe that Garoppolo is their quarterback. You know, I texted with somebody over there. They said the belief or understanding is at least he'll be ready for training camp at some point, possibly the beginning of training camp. There's no firm date yet, but it would be a major surprise if he's not the guy. Now, keep in mind, betting on Jimmy Garoppolo's health is not always a safe bet. You know, he missed a lot of games over the last 4 to 5 years, so he's got to get over that hurdle.
Let me ask you a quick follow-up then. Given what we now know with this contract situation, are you surprised the Raiders didn't address quarterback in the draft?
A little bit, but it does tell me that they believe the foot injury is not going to hinder him for 2023. Because look at their options right now as backups. They have 4th-round pick Aiden O'Connell, who's a fine player, but he's probably not a guy you're going to roll out there as the day one starter. Brian Hoyer, veteran, been around. He's been a number 2. He's been a number 3. He started some games, but probably not a guy you're rolling into the season with a lot of confidence as your starter. So they haven't really done much. There's not like even a young, 1st or 2nd round pick that they're grooming behind the scenes. So that tells me that they believe Garoppolo will be ready. There's always like a Carson Wentz or a Teddy Bridgewater type option out there in free agency. But yeah, to me, this says that they're protecting their money, but they still believe he's going to play at some point here soon.
Now, Jeremy, recently the Arizona Cardinals decided that they were going to release DeAndre Hopkins. Why would they do that? Why would they release DeAndre Hopkins in your eyes?
Well, he had a $30 million cap hit. So I think, Harry, the Cardinals just said, he's not in our plans long term. This is clearly a rebuild situation, even though they probably won't admit that publicly, but everybody knows that. It's a roster that's not going to be very good next year. Kyler Murray's still recovering from the ACL. So you don't really know what to expect. This is a team that has a lot of draft capital for the future and for 2024, where there is a star-studded quarterback class with Drake May, Caleb Williams, all those guys. So this is essentially a trial run a little bit for Kyle Murray. They're going to see how it goes this year, but a new regime, it feels like all bets are off. And so you combine the fact that Hopkins, according to all accounts that I've heard, was looking for a change of scenery or was at least open to that, had talked to the Cardinals about moving on. They shopped him. There just wasn't a lot of trade action, and they could eat his salary cap hit all in 1 year. They had the space to do that now instead of waiting till June, where you can sort of prorate it over 2 years. And so they figured, let's just cut the cord now and let him try to get whatever he can on the market.
So my follow-up to that is this. When it comes to Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals probably won't be a good football team this year. They have an opportunity to probably get the 1st overall and 2nd overall draft pick. Do you see a situation in which, if they are in that situation, they decide to take a quarterback, Caleb Williams or Drake May, and then move on from Kyler Murray?
I suspect that all options are on the table with that, Harry. Like, you could even see a scenario where they keep Kyler Murray and draft a quarterback. He's going to be hard to trade because of the dead money involved in the contract, but it's not impossible. It's a big number, and certainly this year doing it would be tough, but going on next year, he will have played 2 years on the new deal. Usually in NFL contracts, by 2 years, you can sort of wiggle out of it if you need to. This is a team that clearly is giving it a few years with GM Monty Ossenfort to just accumulate as much talent and volume as they can through the draft. That's how they want to build. They did a ton of trades back in late April on the clock during the draft, got a lot of 3rd and 4th round picks. And then remember, they have the Houston Texans 1st round pick next year. Houston's not a lock to be very good. So they could be fully armed with potentially 2 top 5 picks next year, which you can trade up to get to one if you want. The options feel limited. They haven't had this flexibility like this in a long time. So I do think they're going to take advantage of it.
We're talking to Jeremy Fowler, ESPN senior NFL writer. With all of this conversation about Hopkins, where do you think he ends up next?
Well, my money would still be on the Bills or the Chiefs working something out. They just don't have a lot of money in the cap space. And, the Chiefs, the concern is they just gave Donovan Smith on free agency some real money to play left tackle. So that drained some of their resources. I don't know if they can quite pull it off. They do believe Kadarius Toney can be a number 1 type receiver. So I don't get the sense they're overly desperate to make this happen, but there's certainly some interest. And when you talk to other NFL teams, they believe the Bills are a threat here and have been for a while. So I still suspect that you have 2 contenders in the AFC that are sort of trying to combat each other, make sure one doesn't get Hopkins over the other. So that's a little bit of an arms race there. And then you're going to have some sleepers. You know, you look at a team like Cleveland, I wouldn't call them a major player, but I expect them to at least make a phone call because of the Hopkins, Deshaun Watson connection from Houston. My sense is Hopkins would be open to playing with Watson again and reuniting with him. And the New York Jets, teams like that, have been looking for receiver help in the past couple months pretty heavily. You know, the Jets were in on Odell Beckham before he signed with the Ravens. Of course, the Cowboys went and traded for Brandon Cooks, but looked into the Hopkins market before. So some of these teams are at least familiar with what Hopkins might be looking for, and maybe they can pull the trigger there.
Okay, let me throw another team out to you, Jeremy, because I think this team should be in the running for DeAndre Hopkins. The Detroit Lions. Yeah. You got Jamison Williams, who's going to be suspended for the first six games of the year. Detroit Lions have about $23 million in cap space. So if DeAndre Hopkins want a certain amount of money, they can give that to him, a team that's up and coming and promising that we just don't feel promising about, but also the NFL looking at all their major TV games that they have this season. What do you think about the Lions?
On paper, Harry, if we're talking on paper and the football quality, yes, it makes sense. And Jared Goff's a real dude now. He gained a lot of respect for the way he played last year in league circles. They have a good roster. They have money. It's Detroit. Not a lot of free agents want to go to Detroit. Jalen Ramsey went to Miami. He wanted to be in Miami. He didn't want to be in Detroit, with all due respect. Or at least I think Detroit had interest in Ramsey, but players want to go to Miami, right? Like, so that's the thing. And I don't know if Hopkins would want to play there or not. We'll see. Maybe he's open to some of those options. Money can always talk, right? That's always the tiebreaker and the equalizer in these scenarios.
Jeremy, I'm going to need him to go to Detroit, or just not to Kansas City. Like, basically, over the course of the last 10 minutes, you've let me know my team doesn't have a quarterback, and the Chiefs might get DeAndre Hopkins. This is why I drink in the fall. Like, it's not healthy for me, Jeremy. Like,
no, Jeremy. See, this is why Fitz is going to have to buy everyone on Fitz and Harry, the staff, and myself included, a steak dinner. Whichever our teams has the worst record at the end of the year, there has to be a steak dinner bought and one choice of a alcoholic beverage.
Yeah, but Harry's a Falcons fan, and he's high on the Falcons this year. I'm just saying, like, there's a chance. I mean, I got the Falcons, the Giants, the Raiders, and the Jets in one division. The Jets are going to be better, but the rest of them could all implode, Jeremy. Just give me hope.
The disrespect, I tell you.
Jeremy, thank you.
There's some hope. There's some hope here with Las Vegas. Their roster's not bad. They got, they need some picks, like some actual interceptions. I think somebody was telling me their defensive backfield had like 5 picks last year. It's a really, really low number. Like, go get Marcus Peters, Jeremy, add somebody there to the defense.
Jeremy, see, obviously you didn't watch Kings of Comedy. Okay. See, as a black man, we don't hope somebody's in our seat. We wish somebody would. We don't live by the hope theory, Jeremy.
Jeremy, I hope you're right, and I cannot wait to talk to you again, my friend. Thanks for hanging out with us. Have a good holiday, brother.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Jeremy Fowler, ESPN senior NFL writer, hanging out with us. All right, he just broke some of it down, but this weekend, frankly, has left me wondering what the hell is going on in the city that I love, Las Vegas. Things have gotten wild. We'll get you an update on not just one, but 2 different sports that are suddenly turning the city upside down next. It's Fitz and Harry taking over Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max on Sirius XM Channel 80 and ESPN Radio.
Grady.
LeBron is definitely not retiring. Definitely not. Never listen to what a player says about his future in the frustrated moments after a defeat that ends his season.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. This is Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. For more than 75 years, we've been transforming lives by helping working adults like you expand their skills, move up, or start a new career. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply to UMGC by May 31st. We'll waive your application fee. An accredited state university, UMGC offers online and hybrid courses for more than 125 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates. Take advantage of faster onboarding, success coaches, lifetime career services, and more. Achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get moving forward. No application fee through May 31st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate by Chev.
This is Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
I don't know if you've ever walked into a basketball arena with Stephen A. Smith. It is much like what it must have been like to walk anywhere with Elvis. It's insane. For the majority of the time that I've been with him, we walk in and people will just yell Cowboys stuff at him. So can I tell you that this past week, we're in LA, and I walk into the arena with Stephen A., and both nights, people are yelling Aaron Rodgers stuff at me. Have I been talking about Rodgers that much? Is this something that I've been doing to the point that it has become like that? Like, has Rodgers become to me what Stephen A. and the Cowboys have become? Is it that, Bubba?
Yeah, I think you maybe just crossed that line just ever so slightly.
Cam?
We did it for like 3 months straight, but other than that, I can't recall.
I have to admit, I thought I covered it the appropriate amount.
Lies, and more lies. Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
A historic MLB matchup. The Yankees and the Dodgers in a rivalry for the ages. It's gone! That ball was hit.
The rest is history.
Give us Broadway versus Hollywood. Sunday Night Baseball. Yankees, Dodgers. Sunday at 7 Eastern on ESPN. Presented by Casamigos Tequila.
Memorial Day on ESPN Radio. Carlos Correa. Wow. And the AL Central leading Minnesota Twins head to Houston to face Yordan Alvarez and the Astros.
Hit a ton. Yordan Alvarez with a 3-run homer.
The Minnesota Twins at the Houston Astros. Coverage begins today at 3:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.